Good evening and welcome to Southron Bannermen, episode 12. Tonight I'm joined by regular host Ryan.
Hello.
And special guest James. I'm not even going to try and pronounce the second name.
Yeah. Hey guys.
How do you pronounce
Pleasure
it?
to be on. Nowecki.
Nowecki, okay. So Ryan, what are we talking about tonight?
So we're going to have our thoughts on Ghosts of Harrenhal, which is like 2-3 weeks late, but it's just come out over here in the UK, with the sixth pack being out in a couple of days' time, so it's not actually going to change the meta at all, really. We're going to jump straight over it. But yeah, we're going to go over that quickly, and we're going to talk about the Store Champ season so far. We had 2 big ones in the UK this weekend just gone.
Cool. Although, probably this weekend just gone by the time this goes out.
Yeah, I guess, by the time this airs. 2 weeks ago.
There we go. Oh, cool. So, I wasn't at either Store Championships, so guys, what were the Store Championships and what were you taking? How did you do?
So this was the first Southern Weekender that we've been running. So there's always been a Northern Weekender in Manchester and Stockton that's been going on for a few years now, where they coincide their Store Champs for the same weekend and everyone sort of travels up north and goes to both. We've done a similar thing this year for down on the south coast. So we had, well, not really on the coast, but down the south. So we had Aldershot and Reading. Aldershot on the Saturday and Reading on the Sunday. Me and James both went. Ben didn't. Ben was too busy doing, I don't know.
Saving lives again.
Saving lives again, yeah.
Joe went as well. Obviously he's not here, but it's worth noting.
Oh yeah, Joe is not with us.
No.
Oh yeah, also Joe's not here, so it's going to allow me to put my view on what happened in our games to the forefront, let's put it that way.
Also, yeah, an update on that. So obviously, Ryan, as you know, we've been trying to replace you for the last few weeks unsuccessfully.
Mm-hmm.
As Joe could make this one, your job is now safe. But if anyone would like to apply to replace Joe on the podcast, please send your emails to nightofthebackwater@hotmail.com.
Who you want really is George. That's who you want. You want George.
George.
Yeah.
Yeah. George, apply.
George and his jank. Yeah, jank bot building.
This jank.
So, So Ryan, what horrible deck were you running?
Oh god, I'm still having nightmares about it now.
Hey, it wasn't that bad. It's a nice friendly deck.
Sorry.
You run Valor, can't be that friendly, surely.
Spoilers. So I was playing Tyrell, Banner of the Stag, and it was quite an interesting build. I'm not going to go into too many details of it because there's going to be quite a few other people playing it in the UK next few weeks of Store Champs.
Also very bad people. Let's put it that way.
The list will get published eventually, but the initial idea was from Cornish Paramore Reese, who now has moved from the UK to the Netherlands, but has been sending us his thoughts on this crazy Tyrell Stag deck he's been working on. And I took his initial list, had a mess around with it, made some changes, took it to the 2 Store Champs this weekend just gone, and did pretty well with it. It's
pretty
a very
well is a bit of an understatement, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, for those of you that weren't following along, Ryan won both, okay?
Oh, spoilers? Go. And you also won your Octagon League game with it, didn't you?
Yeah. I'm in the top 4 of the Octagon League now. I think I've won the last 3 games of that deck, so I probably won't play it next round because everyone will now know about it.
I must say, I was being at work, getting your message when you're playing Nate, getting the messages. Got no characters, still gaining free power turn. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So yeah, it's a very, very light on the characters, this deck. Heavy on the resets, heavy on the events. A lot of control options. And yeah, slow but steady. It's pretty consistent. That's what it's built for. I'll publish a full deck list at some point with a little report. But yeah, for now, say it's pretty strong.
And James, what were you running?
Well, so, I mean, I guess there's a little bit of a backstory here. I came down for the Brighton Store Champs prior to Christmas, and I hadn't been playing in a while. So I got Joel to tell me which deck to play. Joel being I guess by far Reading's best player. And up until this point, I suppose a thorn in Ryan's side. But yeah, Joel told me just to play a Night's Watch fealty deck, which is basically just, like a bog standard wall deck. Which is fine because I don't get to play as much as perhaps I should. And it's a really, really good deck in terms of it being ultra low skill and really hard for other people to beat it. In my opinion, I guess, like other people may disagree, but basically it's what I would consider a really good tournament deck in that it takes a lot more effort for your opponent to win than you, which means it gives you a lot of downtime. You don't have to do as much heavy thinking or brain work. And it imposes a pretty brutal clock on the game in terms of if they can't beat the wall, you just win, right? But the downside of that was, although I did quite well at that tournament and I ended up in the top 4, it was boring as shit to play. And I think I made 5 challenges in the entirety of the day. So 5 rounds of Swiss and 2 rounds in the cup. So that's less than 1 challenge a game, which doesn't feel particularly entertaining. So I was repenting for these events, and I ended up playing a Martel Lord of the Crossing deck.
Nice. I must say, I having played a bit of Night's Watch recently, I wouldn't say that they're like auto. Well, I don't say auto win. That's not. It can be a little bit easy, but there's some very important decisions you have to make at the right time, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's just my opinion based on it feels It feels like it's a lot more effort for my opponent to win than me.
No, it is.
Yeah. No, especially since Haunted Forest came out.
Absolutely.
God,
and just to clarify, it was after that pack. So Shadow Tower Mason and Haunted Forest, which are both absolutely insanely good cards for that deck.
I hate the Haunted Forest. That card is just, especially on
very bad design.
Especially on the For the Watch turn. On the For the Watch turn, the wall's not going down.
So dumb, really dumb.
Yeah. No, okay, that's fair enough. Yeah, I do agree on that. Yeah, but since that pack's come out, it has got a little easier to play.
Oh, it was a joke. Like I was just sat there going, well, no challenges, and then the biggest decision point was, do I defend this challenge or do I just let it hit the Haunted Forest?
Let it hit the Haunted Forest.
Yeah, well, you just you go, okay, if I win this challenge, then the Haunted Forest stays up for the next challenge. If I can't win it, then I'll just let it hit the Haunted Forest. It's fine.
There is also the other important decision of when do you use Castle Black.
Well, it depends if you've got Castle Black marshalled or whatever. But yeah, I mean the decision points are more to do with the plots, I think, than anything else.
Yeah.
Which I was not running a standard plot deck for that, so I think a lot of people were on like double counting coppers and was it Old Forest Hunter to draw cards?
Yep.
No, not draw cards to make money.
Yeah. To get your economy. Yep.
Yeah, it works the bad way around, right? I thought it was when it came out. I thought it was pay money to draw a card, and I was like, this is the best thing ever. and then I found it was the rubbish way. So it's like ditch a card for a money. Which
it's really good. It's really
good. It is really good. It is for sure. It's really good. But I was running only 1 copy of Counting Coppers, and I slotted in a Winter Festival for anticipating wall versus wall matchups, and then it turned out I was about the only dirty bastard that brought the wall to that tournament. So yeah.
I say the Old Forest Hunter. He's really good as long as you know your action windows.
Yeah, which Joel ran me through repeatedly before the tournament, which was a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to... Old Forest Hunter. Remember what I told you, Ben, about this and Cersei? I swear nobody has picked this up yet, but everyone's going to hear about it now.
Okay, well, the 10 people who listen to this podcast, you mean?
Yeah.
So wait, if you discard a card with Old Forest Hunter, does she gain power?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's... Alright.
I've done it so many times against Lannister players, and nobody's ever realised.
Well, you didn't realise till halfway through one game, did you?
The whole time at Stardeck, just ditching cards for Old Forest Hunter against
Old Forest Hunter
players.
Is he loyal?
Is it loyal?
He is loyal,
yeah, he is.
Okay, I can't remember what the text on Cersei is. Is it when an opponent...
it's when a card is discarded from an opponent's hand, so...
Okay, yeah, so you can't just charge it up with that yourself.
Oh, no. But against, if you're playing against a Lannister Cersei deck, then cripples you. That speeds them up so much.
Yeah, that's really rough.
Yeah, it's weird that that's not really been a thing people have talked about.
I've never seen anyone actually trigger it.
Is she limited to twice per phase? Is that right?
Yeah.
Is it 3 times a round, isn't it?
I thought it was twice wait a second.
Yeah.
Oh, it is a round. No, I think you are right. It's definitely, it might be right. Got the phone here anyway.
Was it Cersei Lannister?
It is 3 times per round.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. But I mean, you're probably getting that right, because a lot of the time you're ditching a couple of cards to the Old Forest Hunter.
Yep.
Yeah.
Scary thing to watch out for.
Yep, I'll definitely be on that. I really like the new Cersei. I don't know about you.
Yeah, she's really strong.
Yeah, I think she's also one of the few ones they've done like a 7-cost version of a low cost that probably is actually much better than the lower cost version.
Yeah, I mean, so I really like the art and I like the effect as well. I think she's just really, really, really strong. She's one of my favourite characters in the books as well. I don't know what that says about me, but probably not good. But yeah, I do like Cersei. I think she's an intriguing character for sure.
No, it's nice seeing these decks and the different. Well, I suppose it's still intrigue heavy Lannister, isn't it? You're still doing Reigns and there's my claim. Not there's my claim. Trial by combat.
There is my claim. That would be great.
Oh, that'd be awesome. It's loyal though, isn't it? Yeah, it's loyal, isn't it?
Yeah, that is loyal. And you need loads of Tyrell characters to use it anyway.
It's not loyal. There is my claim. It's not loyal.
No, that's it. Yes, because what's it?
I've got a stupid deck built that's the Stark Rose deck. Yeah, that has 0 Stark characters and 40 Tyrell characters. So it has Winter is coming and there is my claim.
Now, I will say, the look on my opponent's face, I can't remember who it was, but they mathed it out really carefully in a tournament, what I could get away with and what they could. And it was on the first Snow of Winter turn, and I brought all my Tyrell characters back to my hand, and then I bumped the claim up by 1 with There Is My Claim, and they were really, really upset. They were really sad. I can't remember what I sniped. It was something nasty. I think I got like a Tyrion or something.
Yeah.
I must say, having played a lot of Tyrell, There Is My Claim's a card I think I probably gave a bit too harsh a score to when we reviewed it.
Yeah, I think it's alright.
It's not a great card still, but you do tend to, with the amount of draw you get, you do tend to have a few characters in hand, especially now Valor's out and people aren't just playing their hands out anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fine. I think it'll see like odds and ends of play. It feels like a decent one-off tech card.
So Nick, the Sword Championship.
Yeah, after that massive
digression.
Yeah. So we know you weren't playing Night's Watch. Did you actually say what you were playing?
Yeah, I was playing Martell, Lord of the Crossing, which I was getting unhappy with the amount of people that were ragging on Martell, saying that they weren't very good. And I guess this comes back to a brief discussion of the kind of meta overall. But I think that the kind of decks to beat at the moment are what I would describe as clock decks. So things that put a defined endpoint on the game, and if you can't deal with it, you just lose. So notably, the kind of 2 shapes at the moment in terms of deck of those that are kind of about and controlling the kind of competitive scene are the one we've already discussed, which is the wall. Anything with the wall in it puts a defined clock on the game. And then the kind of equivalent deck out of some form of Baratheon or Stag deck where you're using the Chamber of the Painted Table. I mean, they work in different ways, but they both put like quite an important clock on the game, and you need to be able to go quite fast, I think, to beat those. And so when I was building this deck, I was looking at, well, how do I, what's good against those kind of decks? And I thought that this deck might be quite good because there's nothing faster, I think, as in terms of an agenda that you can put onto your main house than the Lord of the Crossing one. Especially when these decks aren't often set up to win a lot of challenges. They're mostly set up to just not kind of lose the ones that matter, or losing challenges doesn't matter too much to them. Whereas if you can then guarantee to pull off your crossing every turn, then that's obviously really, really good at accelerating you and keeping up with them. So yeah, I built a Martell crossing deck, and I included the Red Viper because that's a pretty fast card in terms of winning the game. If you can get it to trigger.
Yeah, like your semi-final game.
Yeah, well, we could talk about that in the future, but that was certainly one of the highlights of my weekend. I'll be honest. I don't think it was Matt Such's favourite moment, but
yeah, when the penny drops about what's about to happen, his face.
Yeah, because I was sat there going, well, I'm right. I mean, let's talk about this. So I'll go through what happened on the day for my deck. I took this deck on a hunch, the hunch that I've kind of just described in terms of what I thought other people would be playing. And because I wanted to play Martel, and I was supposed to be repenting from playing this Night's Watch deck anyway. So first round I played, who was it? I think it was Phil Gedge.
Yeah.
Who was playing a wall deck. And basically everything went to plan. He could defend either 2 or 3 challenges a turn and have the wall out, but I was just gaining so much power through the crossing that there wasn't really anything he could do. I think I won on like turn 3 or 4, just through getting the crossing power, and him not really being able to take anything away from me. Then second round, I got matched up against one of the Reading was George.
There's Dan round 2, according to... Oh, no, I'm looking at the wrong one.
For sure,
it's George. Sorry, I'm looking at my own one. I'm on Jousting Pavilion, looking at the wrong row.
No, so me and George had come down in the car.
Yeah.
And we kind of both groaned at the fact that we had to play each other in round 2, because you don't ever want to really have to play a teammate in round 2. Or not a teammate, but one of your mates, especially when you know what he's playing. And he was playing Joel's stupid Lannister jumpy deck with Harrenhal, this kind of stuff, which I didn't think was a particularly good matchup for me. So we had a really, really close game there. And I managed to avoid any of his resets really hurting me, just through a mixture of kind of dupes and bodyguards and things like that. And I got, basically, he kind of, because of the way he was jumping, he couldn't really keep everything on the board. And he didn't really get the kind of board breaking aggression that this deck can often put in. So my board was okay, and I was just kind of steadily gaining some power. He was gaining power as well, but it resulted in like a critical turn where one or the other of us was going to win. It was a really close game. It wasn't one way or the other. Basically, he jumped in Cersei with, I think, a hear me roar, like the new Cersei, with the aim of getting an intrigue challenge through and gaining the 1 power he needed to win the game on that. And I nightmares her, and that was kind of basically it. And then, so he eventually made an intrigue challenge, and I defended it with everything and played Doran's game, and he lost. Because it was like turn 4 or 5, and I gained 4 power on a defensive Doran's game.
I love Doran's game.
I absolutely love it. And it's quite a sad fact, but through the entire history of playing Game of Thrones 2.0 that George and I have, basically every game where I've been playing Martel, George has lost to this card. And it started off with a really stupid loss in our kind of inaugural like new players tournament, which was a Kingslayer. So in a Kingslayer, you mix up your two faction cards of 2 different types and then just add in a bunch of neutrals. And it's kind of funny because you get a bunch of inconsistent decks, but you also get combinations of cards that you'll never see again. And I was playing Tyrell and Martel, and basically it got to a point where he did all the maths and he thought I might have the Doran's game. But he did all the maths and thought I didn't have enough gold to use both High Garden when he made an intrigue challenge and to use the Doran's game. So he did that, and then I used the Paxter discount to play the Doran's game and win.
Oh.
and he's hated Paxter Red Wine ever since. But yeah, so that game was really close. And then I had to play Richard Walker, who was on like a Barra table and chair clock deck. And this game was decided quite early when I milked Mel, and he made I think a military or a power challenge, and I used Viper Eyes to remove Big Bob from his hand. And then I just closed out before he could really get a grip on the game. Really fast with the crossing and stuff. I had Nymeria out, so he only had 1 military icon. And I kept taking that away, which was great for me because it meant that I was getting an unopposed challenge every turn. So that was an additional power. And he was never making any military claim on my board. So it also let me then save some of the kind of tech cards that I was running, notably 3 copies of Burning on the Sand. I was able to use them for his power challenges, which meant he couldn't really stop me at all. So I won that one. And then I had to play Joe. Joe Zimmer, obviously well known to people who listen to the podcast. And he was playing Targ Fealty, which is not a good matchup for my deck at all. Because obviously, a lot of the kind of critical Martell characters are strength 4 or lower. Or they're, they lose strength on the first challenge, all this kind of stuff. It's really, really not a lot of fun. And also it's like he was running like quite a heavy military build, and I was kind of banking on just basically being able to sustain enough of a board to win, rather than like, I didn't have, basically what I'm saying is I didn't have the ability to soak a huge amount of military claim.
Yeah.
And, this got really, really tight. But it got to a point where I hit with my Winter Festival, I hit with a Heads on Spikes. So I was accelerating really fast, and I kind of put him in a fork where he had to win that turn, or I would just win with Boneway power. And obviously he was running Targ Fealty, so he had nothing other than like maybe a Nightmares to stop the Boneway. He didn't have Treachery. So basically he went first because he knew he had to win. Otherwise I could probably just cross him and get the crossing power and win. So I needed 1 power to win, I think, at the end of the turn. So he had to kind of go for it. But I think he was the plot he was on was famine. So he wanted to make 2 military challenges and wreck my board, and with Khal Drogo out. And basically I was on summons, and I summoned an Ario Hota, and that was literally the worst thing for him in the world, because I had Ariane on the board. So if he made a military challenge at all, I could Ario and bounce the character from it, and then defend with Ario and the Knights of the Sun that have the renown. And basically close out there. So he was in a situation where he just had to kind of sit there and go, well, okay, I can't make any military challenges, and I can't really make anything else happen. And if I take 1 power away from you with the Boneway is still going to win you the game. So he made what I think was absolutely the right call, which was he decided to go for an intrigue challenge and try and knock Ario out of my hand. And unfortunately I had a defensive Doran's game again and just spiked him on that. Which he was not happy with. It was quite funny. Card is really good, guys. It's actually really good. So I'm not joking.
There's basically no way he could win that then.
No, we were both really tired. This was round 4. But he planned everything, and I was looking at it and I was like, I feel quite confident, because if I lose any challenges, I get the Boneway anyway. And I didn't think he could get enough power really easily to win, but if he could get off his military challenges, then he might have forced me to claim someone important, or something like that. But I felt quite confident, and then it turned out actually the answer was if he did make any of those challenges, I was just going to win. But yeah, it was actually like basically closed out the turn before when I had all that sort of stuff sorted. But yeah, defensive Doran's game, I don't think I'd ever play, or I hadn't remembered playing it defensively before the day, but actually it's really, really good. It might be better than an offensive Doran's game in some ways.
It particularly is. I've beaten a couple of Greyjoy players who are on crossing doing the throwaway intrigue to start with.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and you just go, and they look really confused, and you go, yeah, I've just gained 5 power, thanks for the win.
Yeah. I mean, potentially contentious opinion, I think Greyjoy suck, so I don't think they're very good at it.
No, maybe not at the moment.
Yeah. But I think Greyjoy Crossing is really bad, because you need to have a balanced amount of icons to make it work, in my opinion, and they really don't. They don't have enough intrigue icons.
Yeah, Greyjoy Reigns is doing really well.
Yeah, I'll let someone else who's better at the game discuss whether that's actually good or not. But I didn't see it. I couldn't see it being particularly great. Ryan, do you want to say anything about that? Have you seen these builds? Are they any good?
Yeah, so Craven's been playing one for the last few weeks at tournaments. Seems to be doing all right with it. Just using all the raiding longships and stuff to basically makes sure their strength is 0, so that winning by 5 is quite easy.
That's it. A lot of them run Jeg and Hagar as well, don't they? Well, the
Well,
ones I've looked.
I haven't seen Jackham.
I've seen the one that won some tournament. So I was looking at it, going, seriously, how does this win? And it had 3 copies of him in it.
Yeah, it makes sense. Works well with the raiding longships.
Yeah. 3 icons as well, I suppose.
Yeah,
good for crossing.
You have that, and what's his chops? The Crow's Eye. So you think between the two of them, between the two of them, you've got a big intrigue, and the raiding longships does make sense, I guess.
But I guess my confusion about the whole thing is the Reigns trigger really that relevant?
Necessary.
I've been playing a bit of Martell Reigns, and quite a few times I've won the intrigue, looked at my plots and gone, meh.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying, because a lot of the Reigns decks I've played against, and obviously I think I played a couple in the last 2 tournaments, where they'd made a big intrigue challenge, and obviously as a crossing deck, if I've gone first, I'm not really in a position to defend very hard. And they've won the intrigue challenge by 5 or whatever, and they've looked through their plot decks and they've kind of gone, I don't feel like I want to trigger any of this. So I don't know really. I mean, obviously the Tyrell ones seem really good, and the Lanny ones are good too, I think. But yeah, I'm not seeing potentially quite the impact that you're getting out of those.
I'm sure there's people screaming at home going, "It's amazing! What are you on about?"
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's just my opinion, I guess.
No, I agree. I think it limits you, because especially if you can't trigger it and your wildfire's in there.
Well, this is why I think that, that's it. So some of the plots you extract to the kind of other plot deck, right? And then it doesn't give you the ability to do them on demand. So I lost my train of thought. I think that's why it's really good in Tyrell, because if you've got all of the growing strongs and stuff, that's when you can really mess with the challenge maths and threaten it from kind of like quite low effort. But I mean, I don't. Anyway, I went into round 5. Sorry to cut you off there. We might as well get through this.
Yeah, no, we do need to finish this. I'm good.
I went into round 5. I was playing the other undefeated player on the day, which was Adam East. He was on Tyrell Winter. He mulliganed and found the Arbor, and I had a really crappy setup, and I missed a bunch of triggers on the long plan, which meant I didn't get any money either, and then he just kind of choked me out. That was fine. So I lost that one.
That makes it a really bad plot.
If you're not actually getting all the triggers, then it's really bad. And I would say that notably this deck has a ridiculous amount of triggers for when you lose challenges.
Yeah.
So you can theoretically have like 5 or 6 triggers to a lost challenge. So you can have the Boneway, which is obviously one of the most important. The long plan, depending on what challenge it can be like Viper Eyes. And then all of the ones based around characters. So Elia Sand, like you can have something to do like the Bastard Daughter, for example, I suppose that's with Claim. But also Tristane Martel and Calliot as well. So there's a ridiculous number of triggers that you have to remember. And maybe that makes the deck slightly weaker in a kind of long tournament setting. I don't know. But there's quite a lot of the games that I struggled in were because I forgot a couple of important triggers, notably the ones from cards in my hand rather than the ones on the board. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so I had to play Adam and he just kind of crushed me and that was fine. And then I had to rematch with Joe Zimmer again. And he set up, I don't know, like a decent setup with a dragon and some other dudes, probably like Jogo or something. But he didn't set up any locations. And I knew he was on a lot of summer plots from the previous game. So I reckoned he was going to use building orders turn 1. So I just dropped the Winter Festival to start like the kind of power acceleration. And he did play the building orders. So I kind of got off to a really fast start. But he was on this like Beggar King, which obviously is a really good card, really good economy. And then he was using all these plots, which had like, I don't know, was it values of X, like Summer Harvest and stuff?
Summer Harvest, yeah.
So he was just getting crap tons of money, and it was really, really bad for me because he was building up his board like a lot faster than I could kind of build up mine. But I had a decent board. I put him into a position where he had to elect whether to crown Ariana or crown Nymeria, and he chose to crown Arianne. I mean, we can argue, I think Crown's a terribly designed card, but whatever. But he crowned Arianne, I think, mostly off the back of the previous game where he had to deal with that Ario bullshit. So yeah, he crowned Arianne, and that was alright. It was annoying, but it was fine. I Gastoned one of his characters, I think it was a Recaro, and then I spiked him with heads on spikes, so that was more power acceleration. And then we got to a position again, basically identically to the last game, where I was going to close on the Boneway, I think, and he had to go first again. But at this point, I had a much weaker board. So I had my board, I remember at this point, was Edric Dane, and I had 1 gold left to use him. 2 times Knights of the Sun with Renown on them, and Nymeria. And I managed to put a second Gaston Grey down, which is really, really good because it stops any of his potential Renown characters from closing out the game. So he's again on this situation where he has the ability to make 4 challenges, and I kind of had to oppose everything, even if I knew I was going to lose. And there's a kind of really interesting situation where there was clearly, or I think there was clearly a situation where there was a correct order of operations in terms of which challenges he made, but it was almost impossible for us to work out late in the day when I could take any icon I wanted with Nymeria and give any icon to Edric. Mm-hmm. And he was in the situation again where he wanted to make lots of military challenges, but if he did, I could potentially defend them really hard and just win on Renown from the Knights of the Sun. And it's the same with the power challenges as well. So I managed to basically use the flexibility I had on the boards to stop him actually winning again, and then just win on the Boneway, which is a card that, again, people have said is really bad, but certainly in the crossing deck, it's actually really, really strong.
Yeah, you shouldn't be too worried. It's Joe with 1 game away from a playmat. He always loses that one.
Well, I didn't know that, but yeah, I guess I felt a little bit bad because both the games were really close and could have gone either way. And he didn't draw any Dracarys, which really helped. Or the one he drew in 1 game, I managed to Viperize away. So that obviously helps. So without further ado, we'll move on to what I would consider the kind of centerpiece game of my first tournament, which was a semi-final game against Matt Such. So he was playing Tyrell Reigns. And Tyrell was doing really well on the day. I don't know. So you were on it, weren't you, Ryan? You were on Tyrell.
Yeah. So there was 4 Tyrell players, and all 4 made the top 8.
Yeah.
Worst faction in the game, you know.
No, they're really good right now.
Tyrell are great.
No, the internet tells me they're the worst faction in the game.
Well, you can't trust what the internet tells you, Ben, because they also told me that Martel were really bad, and that wasn't true either. But yeah, so he. Basically, I didn't really know what he was doing, but he was on Reigns, so I assumed there weren't going to be a lot of summer plots in his deck. So I opened with the Winter Festival, and he opened with Calm over Westeros. So as an extra bit of him reading me like a book, I lost my kind of initial power advantage that I was looking for. And then he played this really, really well because I had a decent hand, and I was trying to work out what was optimal to marshal, and I elected to marshal Arianne so that I could bring in Nymeria using her ability and get some extra efficiency that way. And then he milked Arianne. So I sat there going, well, that's annoying. And then the turn after that, I still had a Nymeria in hand, and I marshaled some other people, and I sat on 4 gold, which I guess is a massive telegraph. But I had a Harrenhal on the board, and so I was like, all right, I'll ambush her, and that'll be fine. And then Nymeria won't get milked; it'll be fine. And then he nightmares Harrenhal, and I was just sat there on 4 gold that I can use for anything relevant. And so I started, basically this kind of story of this game was I started getting further and further behind, and then he played out Renly's Host. Is that what it's called? The one from one of the recent packs?
Yeah, the one with Intimidate.
Yeah, that's right. The one that's really strong in the summer and can't do anything in winter. And I'd blown my only winter plot on turn 1. It turns out this card's a lot better than... Well, it was pretty brutal in this matchup anyway.
It's a really good card. I've been using it.
Yeah, I think it's good. It's just mathematically really efficient.
Yeah.
And then, so he made a massive military challenge with it on a Song of Summer turn. And it was really, really strong. And I looked at it and I was like, well, I lose this challenge no matter what. You've only got 1 gold, so I don't get put to the sword at least. And then he burned down a Gaston Grey with a put to the torch. So I was just, really good. Top tips. He was playing some cards that I wasn't expecting, and I got burnt by them. And I was just getting further and further behind in terms of board state. So I was keeping up in terms of power. But my board was looking kind of not really anywhere near as good as him. I think he could just kind of outmuscle me. And then we got to a point where I knew the game was slipping away, and I drew into the Red Viper. I had loads of economy on the table, so I played out the Red Viper. I played out a Green Blood Trader and drew into a Bodyguard. So I felt quite safe from like a kind of Valar. And then he marshalled some junk and then sat on a bunch of gold. I think he sat on 4 gold, which pretty obviously screams. What's the one that lets you make another challenge?
Elena's Informant.
Yeah, really good card. Yeah. But so I kind of guessed he might have had something like that in hand, or a lot of put to the swords or something. But I looked at his board, and then I looked at my board, and then I looked at his board again, and then I looked at my board again. And I couldn't quite believe it, but for a Tyrell Reigns deck, he only had 1 intrigue icon on the board. And it was like strength 2. I can't remember what it was. It might have been like an Arbor Knight or something like that. Mm-hmm. And on the board, I had the Red Viper, Doran, Ariane. I think I had Harmon Ulla and a few other intrigue icons. And I was too tired to do the maths fully, but I reckoned I could pretty much make a massive go at it. So I had to work out an order of operations that would give me the most kind of efficient crossing with intrigue possible to see how much power I could get on the Viper. So I took his only intrigue icon away with Nymeria. And then I worked out that if I went first making a military challenge with Harmon Ulla, that was the best bet, because he didn't even have an intrigue icon. But he was being pumped by Doran. I think this was turn 4, so Doran was providing 3 additional strength to all the lords and ladies. So Harmon was quite strong, and obviously he had renown, so he didn't want to deal with that. So he defended quite heavily there and got some defensive renown as well. And then I made a power challenge with Doran because he doesn't pump himself, so he was weaker than Ariane for potentially using the crossing and firing the Red Viper. And he defended that too. And then the penny kind of dropped for him, and he kind of, I don't know what the card game equivalent of kind of scrabbling around desperately looking for like a weapon is, but that was kind of what happened. And then I swung for a 35 strength intrigue challenge with the +3 on all the lords and ladies and the +2 from the crossing on everyone else. And I was going to get unopposed crossing bonus and what is it? I guess 35 strength worth of Red Viper triggers, which is another 7 power. Is that right?
Yep.
Yep. So he defended with this Elena's Informant that he had to ambush in, but it was basically over. And with the crossing bonus, and the Red Viper bonus, I just got enough power to close out. And he was just kind of sat there in a shell shock state. And I'm not going to lie, boys, it felt really good. Because I didn't see any other way that I was going to win that game. And it was a massive crowd pleasing event as well. Dan Kay was there, kind of, anyone that's met Dan Kay knows he's a really nice guy, but he's kind of the hype man. So he was giving it all the, oh no, son, look at that. Whoa. And all that kind of stuff. And that was just, that was really good. And that was my best game of the day, because if we move on to the final, Ryan just kind of crushed the life out of me.
Hey, wasn't that bad.
Yeah, I mean, so I had a really bad market. And you had a good setup. Can you remember what the setup was?
So my setup was Arbor, Iron Throne, and Butter Bumps. My favourite character in the deck.
Yep. So you were doing quite well out of that, and I mulliganed into quite a bad setup. I think I set up something like a House Dane Knight and Harmon Ulla or something like that.
Yeah, no economy.
Yeah, I didn't, and that kind of backed up. So I knew you were on Valor, which is obviously really, really good against my deck, where I'm trying to race as fast as possible. And most of the kind of clock decks aren't running it. So particularly the Night's Watch and the Barra decks don't seem to be running it, because they don't want to destroy their own board as well. Mm-hmm. So I guess the critical point here was, you were digging for all the pieces and you found them quite quickly. and I ended up marshalling the Viper with a bodyguard. And I think I can't remember whether you gift for Arboredded or something, but you found a Crescent, removed the bodyguard, and then Vallard, and I couldn't get into the game.
Oh, Ryan.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1 second. Gift for Red gave you something useless. I think it was another Gaston Grey. Which
Some crap, yeah.
Yeah, which in any other game, giving your opponent a Gaston Grey is a bad move, but
you weren't making any challenges.
Exactly.
It was, and I think I had one in my hand anyway, so yeah, it wasn't very helpful. And then so you Vallard wrecked my board, and it's a lot worse for my kind of deck. Like, so it's obviously getting your board wrecked for crossing is really, really bad because you have to have the ability to make all 3 challenges. And I just never got back into the game, and then the kind of Chamber of the Painted table just started choking me out.
Yep.
So yeah, that was a smooth win for Ryan.
Yeah, there wasn't much you could do after that Vallard to get back into it, I don't think.
No,
not with no economy on the board and.
No.
Yeah.
So how about you, Ryan? Any notable games from you that day?
It's all a bit of a blur now, really. Trying to think who actually played. Seems to be a lot of Filthy. Like, I don't think I played any banner decks the whole day. It was all mono faction decks.
Yeah.
Which I've been noticing quite a lot over in the UK, actually. We seem to be drifting away from banner decks.
Yeah, I'm trying to work out if anyone I played was on anything other than. So no, Night of Scorched Winter, Lanny Rains, Barra Summer, Targ Fealty, Tyrell Winter, Targ Fealty, Tyrell Rains. So yeah, yours was the only.
Yeah, mine was the only banner. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of interesting. That says something, doesn't it? Really. I don't know what, but it says something.
I think it's the consistency, right? Now that we've got enough in-house cards. Like, if you're building your deck to do a certain thing, it's a lot more consistent if you stick in faction.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about it that way, but that seems pretty reasonable.
Which is bizarrely the reason I'm running a banner as such, because I'm getting all the filter cards from Tyrell, but that's a different way of achieving consistency, really.
Yeah, you're getting all the glue cards from the Tyrell with the Arbor and the draw and stuff, and then all the kind of crunchy cards from Barra. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting because I guess for a long time I considered basically that Banner of the Lion was one of the strongest agendas you could play just because of the strength of the kind of characters.
Yeah.
It's still not a bad one to play.
No, I mean, yeah, it's really good.
There wasn't any Banner of the Lion at Aldershot.
There was hardly any Ilani at Aldershot, I think.
4 people.
Were they all near the bottom?
3 Reigns and 1 Watch.
Banner of the Watch. Was it a war deck? I guess it must be, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Ryan smashed it and managed to wreck up the place. And then we all went for dinner afterwards, which is pretty cool.
So I'm just trying to think now. Back. So Ryan, with your games on the day, I assume it's because you actually lost one, didn't you? And this is spoiler alert.
Oh
you
yeah.
lost all weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was pretty happy. Like 14 out of 15, not bad for the weekend.
In quite a strong field as well, right? So.
Yeah. What was the game you lost then, and why was it? What kind of went wrong? Or do you want to wait until?
So this was against Adam playing his Tyrell Winter,
right?
Who was the King of Swiss. This was in round 4 we played. I just didn't really see many of my pieces to stay in the game in terms of the power level. So I was controlling his board well enough, but he had quite a few high claim plots, which he had only like 1 or 2 characters out, so I was just doing power challenges, which was the right move by him and not bothering about wiping my board. Just instead going for the 2 claim power challenges, which was keeping me quite far behind and obviously speeding him up. We got to plot 6, and I had choice of going for Feast or Close Call. And we were top decking at this point because he'd got my hand down the shreds from turn 1 with Wraiths and then kept attacking it each round. And I figured he's going to go for another Winter Plot anyway. I'm not going to get the draw off Close. Go for Feast, have some more economy. Doesn't matter about the low reserve. and try and get back up there in the power game.
Right.
Melisandre had died the turn before, and then my top deck was of Mel and another Mel, possibly. So if I had gone the close call, I think it would have been a different... I think I would have won that one, actually,
Right.
in the end. Just a matter of which plot I picked at the end. And obviously, I didn't know what I was drawing next, so I didn't really... Can't blame anyone for that one. Yeah, it was just... He was able to push it through in plot 7 to get 15 in dominance, which was a bit annoying because in plot 6, because if he got to plot 7, his last plot was Valor. So he would have wiped his own board. He had Night Flowers with like 4 or 5 power on by that point.
Right.
So if I'd held out for one more dominance phase, probably would have been able to push it through.
I mean, I guess it's okay because you dodged the King of Swiss curse. So
Exactly, yeah. I obviously threw that game on purpose so that I didn't get the curse.
It is your normal tactic. Cool. So, I guess the second store champ in Reading?
yeah, so there was a kind of home and away situation for us. Like we went to Aldershot on the Saturday, and then I guess a bunch of the guys that had travelled, including Ryan. Ryan, did you stay over at the hotel? I can't remember.
No, I went back to Southampton because it's only 45 minutes to get to Reading.
It's not too bad. But a lot of people who'd come up stayed in like a hotel in Aldershot, and then came across to see us in Reading for the second half of the Southern Weekender. We had slightly fewer players that day, which was I was a little bit sad about because I was hoping we'd get a really high number and a good turnout, but we still got a good number in 26.
28? 26.
It's 26, I think, yeah.
Yeah. 32 at Aldershot, right?
Yeah. And definitely worth saying as well, we had 4 female players turn up at Aldershot for that, which was really good.
Okay.
It was one of the most kind of diverse tournaments I've been to for Thrones, actually. So, yeah, good to see.
Quite a few new players, sort of their first tournament.
So yeah, we did this kind of home and away situation. I did my actual kind of penance where George followed me around with a bell shaming me for my performance with the wall deck, which George took in good faith. That was good. So yeah, I managed to locate like a sort of town crier's bell for George to swing. So that was all in good fun, and then we got on with the tournament proper. And I lost more games than I did on the Saturday. I lost both games to Lanny decks where I was really tired from the previous day, and I missed 2 triggers on Viperize. So against Darren Hazelden, I missed it to remove a Tears of Leafs out of his hand, which would have kept my board really strong at the start and probably would have made that a different game. And then against Phil Craker, I made an even worse blunder because I missed a Viperize on him, and then he dropped Varys and smashed me, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of it for my day. I did manage to beat Joel though, which is always good. Making me the kind of preeminent Reading player this month. So yeah. So I've got, well, so what we've got is we've got a little pass the prize in Reading for the kind of best finishing Reading player. And it's like a kind of, I don't know, like a little model hand of the Kingpin from the TV series. And Joel normally ends up having it, obviously, because he's like a really, really strong player. But I've got it at the moment. So, well, I will once he coughs it up and hands it over. That's all I've got to say about that event, really, in terms of my own personal performance. I know Ryan did really well. Do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so the plan for the weekend was to take my silly deck, being the Tyrell Stag.
Wait, that's your silly deck?
Yeah. That's my silly deck. Take that on the Saturday, and then when I inevitably did terrible, play something serious on the Sunday. But considering I did pretty well on the Saturday, I thought I'll just stick with it rather than build a new one on Saturday evening. And went undefeated on Sunday, which I was pretty proud of, considering everyone now knew my tricks of the deck, having seen it the day before.
I think it kind of just is a bit of a testament to how consistent that deck really is and how difficult it is to beat.
Yeah. So again, I played mostly sort of fealty decks. There were a few more banner decks, I think, in Reading than there were in Aldershot. People think we're mixing up a bit, playing playing less serious decks. I think a lot of people took their serious deck the day before.
I don't know, like, from my perspective, I saw a lot of people elect to play Night's Watch decks. And I was just kind of sat there going, well, man, this is surprising. But I guess some of them were quite silly. Adam took a Night's Watch crossing deck. It turns out, actually, Jon Snow with, the attachment, the Longclaw, is quite good in a crossing deck.
It is, unless you bump into Targ and then you die.
Yeah.
So I played a lot of Night's Watch, a lot of Barra on the day, which are obviously other passive power game decks. But as James said earlier, don't tend to run resets and don't really have the survivability to live through multiple resets. Just what my deck aims to do, reset often. So I think there wasn't really any tough games except the one against Joe, who was playing again his Targ deck. Well, I had quite a slow start. He had his standard Khal Drogo dragons going crazy, threatening of Dracarys. So, well, not that I really do any challenges anyway, but it stopped me defending them.
Yeah, that deck seems really good. I mean, I don't know what your opinion on it is.
It is really good. Yeah, it is really good. And he got to like 12, 13 power before I got the sort of lock on with the table and the chair and crawled my way back up. And when time was called, I got to 14. He was on 10. I think he gave me the full win in the end anyway.
Yeah.
Just to try to increase his SOS. And poor Joe, as always happens, was the bubble boy in 5th, cut into a top 4.
On extended schedule.
Yeah, I feel bad for him. I think it should have been a top 8, really.
If I'd run it again, I probably would run a top 8 there. Everyone was really knackered though, and I wanted people to be able to get off, because obviously they were travelling potentially further on the way home, so I wanted people to leave as quickly as possible if they wanted to. But I think realistically, I probably would run a top 8 if I'd run that one again.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry, Joe. I mean, I also missed out. I would have been in the top 8 cut for that as well, but as would, I guess, Daz and a few of the others. Like, so who made the? Yeah,
there's Joe, Drew. Darren, James, and Drew would have been the remaining 4. Yeah.
Oh, Darren Hazelton would have made it. Then you made the right choice.
Yeah.
Playing as Lanny Rain's deck. Well, my last 3 rounds were all Barra matchups, so that was a fun, boring end to the weekend. I just played Barra Fealty, Barra Watch, Barra Fealty in the last 3 games. So all of us were just putting table and chair out and just trying to win that way. But
so let's have a quick discussion about that then. I mean, what does that say for the game if those are the strongest strategies?
Yeah, passive power game right now is really, really strong. Everyone's taking their deck to survive against Valor, not really build with Valor in mind, and that just weakens their deck in general. So things that aren't running Valor, or if they are, weakens it to sort of location heavy decks like this, where they take out their control options just to put in more saves and generally bodyguards, iron mines, not worrying about the locations which are sticking around even if their opponent is resetting.
So do you think that's I mean, I wonder if that's a function of like a kind of 2nd edition. I don't know how to describe it. I guess so. A lot of us down south are primarily 2nd edition players. I mean, you look at the event, and I think you were one of the only first edition veterans to come to both days, or I don't know whether there were any others.
I'm pretty sure I'm the only one who sort of played first edition fairly often. I think like Kevin and Phil also played a little bit, but I was the only one that went to tournaments really for first ed.
So, I mean, I guess that means that in some ways, a lot of us, although we might have a bit of experience with 2nd edition, we're not sure how to approach this kind of Valor style game, whereas obviously it was such a meta warping card in 1st edition that you've learned how to play around it and what it means and how to build decks with that in mind.
Yeah, well, it was in the core in 1st edition, so it's always been a part of the game. So you always built with Valor in mind. Locations are always more valuable. And I think
until Political Disaster becomes an important card.
It's not that great. Like, a lot of people were saying to my deck, like, what do you do? It's political disaster. Wow.
Dupe all your locations, right?
First of all, you could dupe your locations. Secondly, you can just play them again if you draw your duped cards afterwards.
Yeah, they're not dead, are they?
They're not dead like characters, so you can just play them. And thirdly, some of the locations, like the Arbor, for example, if they're playing political disaster, I choose the Arbor as one of mine. That's the equivalent of them choosing 3 Rosewares, which obviously they can't do.
Yeah.
So there's just certain locations that have huge swings on political disaster turn that I don't know. It's not a great card.
No, it's not.
Arbor Tech.
I've actually used it a bit to try and get Dave to not think about not using relying on the locations quite as much for his Night's Watch. And I played it on I think about turn 3, and I looked and went, 4 reserve, really?
Yeah, the stats are all so dreadful. Yeah.
Yeah, as I looked at my 9 cards in hand with my 5 gold after I blew up my own locations. I was like, yeah, this is not a good plot.
Well, it's probably maybe
the torch.
Yeah, no, I did.
Run this plot. I wonder if I should run it, because I never have any cards in hand, and that's a function of being a Netrunner player where I can just draw them at will. So I just kind of end up spunking them up the wall. I don't know. Yeah, what are your thoughts on Put to the Torch? Because it doesn't go through dupes, right? So
no, but I think it's stronger than Put to the Sword right now.
Yeah, that's probably true. I mean, there's a lot of decks that don't care about their characters dying, right?
I think it's quite rare to actually see Put to the Sword right now.
Yeah, I think Tears and Put to the Sword have dropped off a little bit, obviously because of Valor, giving you the on-demand wipe anyway. I still think they're both really strong cards, because especially with everyone running bodyguards and dupes right now, if it just clears you the way for a full wipe on the Valor, it's worth playing.
Yeah, fair.
Same for Varus. I think Varus is even stronger now we've got Valor out.
Yeah, because Iron Minds and Risen doesn't save against it.
Exactly. Yeah, I think people need to start thinking more about location control in their deck. A lot of people are running Nightmares, which I think tend to go on locations rather than characters. But I don't think 3 Nightmares is enough. You need to start thinking about some other stuff. I think Frozen Solid could make a little comeback. Didn't really see much play when the start box launched.
No,
I think it's pretty good.
The cost 3 or below hurts it a little bit.
You can hit the Chamber of the Painted Table, you can hit the Iron Throne.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't hit the Harrenhals in the wall, and that's basically it.
And Winterfell.
Yeah, and Winterfell.
And the
But you can hit Tower of the Hand, which is their kind of save from Harrenhal, which could be quite important, I suppose.
Yeah, the whole Tywin jumping in for free, winning an intrigue, kicking one of your characters out, and then jumping back.
Yeah, but you wait for them to jump. You wait for them to jump the Tywin in, and then you Nightmares Tower of the Hand. That's what you do.
Yeah,
I know that.
Yeah, I was running it's kind of interesting because I guess I was testing a Baratheon wolf deck, basically table and chair again, but with Standy Sansa from the core set and Fast Eddard and stuff like that. And that was one that I was running, and I was considering Frozen Solid in that for that exact reason. In the kind of table and chair mirror match or whatnot, I could turn off their Iron Throne, which would be quite a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of elected not to play that because I felt it was too similar to the Night's Watch deck that I was supposed to be repenting for.
It's I said the meta seems an interesting place at the moment though, which is quite nice. I finally feel I'm at the point where I see what my opponent's house card is and what banner they've got. I don't know 95% of the deck.
That's a really good thing, actually, I think.
Yeah. And there's a lot of, you see, surprise cards coming in, Put to the Torch, and I'm starting to see it. I'm starting to use it. Which is a card which, the only reason I ever used to use it was when I needed about 6 copies or something over 2 decks, and I photocopy for testing. Yeah. What card am I never going to use? Put to the Torch. That makes a good card to go in this, to be a proxy. So, it's actually nice that these cards are starting to see play, and you are starting to see some different archetypes. And now, we even sent some decks out of left field, like this Tyrell Stag deck. Second time you've done this, Ryan. Or you've been the main one to be inflicting these decks that come out of nowhere on people. But it's nice even at the point, because in first edition, the first cycle, especially when you had that big gap, it did get a bit dull going. There just doesn't feel like there's many options. Whereas now, at the end of this cycle, feels like actually there's quite a few options for every faction.
I mean, it feels like the kind of deck shapes have changed, right? So I play a lot of Martel. They're my favourite faction. So you look at what you had out of the core set where, I was playing it, but a lot of people weren't because they thought the core set cards were bad. And then I guess, though, the preeminent build for that initially was the Tyrell Martel one that Sam Bratz did really well at Worlds with.
Yeah.
And then that kind of shifted when Nymeria and stuff was released. And then it went into like this kind of hyper kill mode. So all the tiers of lists, all the like put to the swords. I was running that with, I guess the Lion banner, and people were running resets and First Nerve Winter and stuff with that. And then I think those kind of decks have kind of gone now, and like, I think the kind of best Martel build is this kind of crossing one that I've been putting together. But you can kind of look at all the different factions and do a kind of similar analysis. Apart from maybe Targ, I'm not certain the Targ decks have changed quite that much.
No, I don't think Targ's changed at all, really.
It went for Bix. The dragons disappeared for a while when Pain was everywhere.
Well, that was more people just didn't play Targ rather than the deck type changing.
Because
you saw the crossing decks not taking them and relying on the Blood Riders.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean, you look at Joe's deck now, and like the idea behind the deck, I guess, is still the same as it was previously.
Yeah.
No,
just with a few character tweaks.
I think it's. So I think Targ's kind of had two different phases, and I think they're basically now in the middle of both of them, where you still got the dragons to burn, and you've got the Blood Riders in to do all the shenanigans and actually do some fun things.
That's what Joe's deck's all about, right? Yeah. It's just loads of good stuff cards.
Whereas, but I mean, the problem that hurt Targ is they didn't really get any good cards in the first cycle, and they haven't really had any good cards in the second cycle. Not many.
Do we reckon Slaver's Bayport is going to solve that?
No, it's a bad card. It's a really bad card.
It doesn't look good, does it?
No,
I mean, I should laugh because Martel's about to get the green blood, and that card just, yeah.
Hey, it will help you get your Duran's game finishes.
Yeah, I don't need any help with that, apparently, right? But yeah, it's fair. It's just really expensive, and I don't really like playing a lot of summer plots. So I don't like cards that require you to build your plot deck around them.
Yeah.
Because the plot deck in Thrones, in my opinion, is like kind of, I mean, as a second ed noob, the plot deck seems to be like where a lot of the game is, both in terms of the order and what you play, like putting it together, trying to analyze what your opponent's going to play with the plots. That seems to be like where a lot of the kind of really important moments in games tend to be. And to be told, yeah, I want to run this card, I need to run all of the summer plots, for example, to get anything out of it, just seems really weak. Mm-hmm. And it also makes you predictable too. So if your opponent, if you play that out, there's probably, or if you put it in your deck, you're probably you might as well play Summer Banner or something like that. And then they already know that you're not playing Winter Festival or anything like that. I don't know. It just seems like a bad card.
Yeah, I agree. It's a bit of a pain having the seasons tied to plots in second ed. Just.
Oh, were they not in first ed?
No. They were attachments you played on your house card, and they just replaced each other. So if you played the winter one, it would stay on the game, like in the game, attached to your house card, unless your opponent played the summer one, and they would discard the winter one.
That's really interesting.
Yes, they were the only ones that interacted with each other, those two cards, really. So, you wouldn't have to build your plot deck depending on it. You just had to make sure you could find this one attachment, which there was a plot to search for a Raven attachment, which is what they were. So.
Right, yeah, that makes sense. Like a kind of here to serve effect.
Basically, yeah. So if you're playing a seasons deck, one of your plots would be defined, basically. And one of your card slots as one attachment, generally. And that's it.
Were they common? Like, were they popular deck shapes or not?
Yeah. I think more popular than they are now, because you didn't have to, it wasn't like an agenda, obviously.
Yeah.
Necessarily. Right now there were summer and winter agendas. but you could run summer and winter quite happily as a theme without running agendas. Whereas now you can now, I guess, the plots, but they're not really a summer or winter deck, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it now, and unless you're running like a really, really focused archetype out of it, like Night's Watch Choke with the White Tree and stuff like that, I look at it and I go, well, is this worth like losing the general economy of fealty, or is it worth losing like the kind of potential power gain from crossing or whatnot? It just seems
your plot
it's
choices.
really hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially summer, where I'm not sure whether the impact's really that great.
Well, I enjoy Kings of Summer anyway.
I mean, maybe like it all depends on the plots, right? Because if they keep fleshing out the plots,
yeah, it's the one thing I've been most disappointed with this cycle is the lack of summer and winter plots. If you're going to release a summer winter agenda, it makes sense to have even if it's been 2 more of each, just give you a few more options.
the thing is, the summer ones just seem to give money. Like the winter ones obviously have like the kind of 2 claim. They've got the monopoly on 2 claim, which seems really good.
Not necessarily, not really, because you've got close calls that bring someone back to life. You've got calm to reduce claim.
I always forget calm because it was in the core set.
Yeah, you got time of plenty, so extra card draw. So it's like a mini counting coppers with more money. Obviously, it does give your opponent a card draw. And then you've got obviously Summer Harvest, which is potentially the best economy card or the worst economy card in the game, depending on what your opponent plays.
Yeah.
So the summer plots do stuff. It's I think it's just not quite as the obvious impact as the winter ones, which kind of makes sense for the whole summer and winter kind of themes. Whereas summer's that kind of passive, everyone gets +1 reserve, you get a little bit extra gold. Whereas winter's the kind of negative, no, your reserve's reduced and your opponent's gold's reduced, to try and really, that kind of negative impact. I think that's why it doesn't seem quite as impactful.
Yeah, I mean, like I guess summer seems to be like the kind of generic good stuff one where you just get a bit of extra money and, like you say, like these kind of general board strengthening or like hand strengthening effects.
The reserve is really good though, especially having played it out Barrow a lot, where you can draw loads with the Red Keep. Just having the extra 2 cards once you've got the Iron Throne out. Yeah,
that card's really well designed.
That's a really good bonus. On the subject of cards, though, do we want to pick Harrenhal? Not Harrenhal.
I think we should.
Ghosts of Harrenhal. That's right. So we're just going to do a bit of a overview of each faction, really, rather than doing an in-depth review, because the cards have been out for a while now.
Yeah, it's been out for ages. Just do a very quick talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, we've only had it for like a week or so here, but obviously in America they've had it for a month, basically, now, haven't they? Cool. So, who wants to take Stark as the first faction in the box pack?
Tumbleweed.
Tumbleweed. Nobody wants Stark.
No one wants Stark.
Ben, you can take Stark.
Okay. So you've got Roose Bolton, who's more kill, and you've got Harrenhal, which is more kill. I'm not sure this benefits Stark that much. I don't know. It could be. I don't think these cards fit Stark too well. I think they fit Lannister really well. I don't think they fit Stark very well, which probably is quite thematic in some ways. Harrenhal seems like a great card if you see it early on. Later on, it seems like a bad card and I think I've already seen a couple of games where people just don't want to trigger it. There's a 5 coster. Is it worth it? I might hold on to something better comes along. Whereas, I'm on the opinion of no. If it's 5 cost or above, or something really good, just trigger it. Just get it. Just do it.
Yeah.
Or it's
such a tempo hit for them, right?
Yeah. I'd say if it's 4 or above, maybe even 3 or above, I'd trigger it.
If it's something like what's his face? You're playing against Night's Watch, and they put the Maester. Yeah, kill him because
he had to save himself. So
he can save himself.
A bit of a waste.
Maybe not him, but something like that. Something like even like Maester Calliot, because he's going to be freaking annoying.
Look, you leave my Calliot alone, all right?
I love Calliot. But yeah, Bolton seems better in sort of the Lanny version of Harrenhal, jumping in for free.
Yeah,
murdering everyone.
They're both really good, just boring. I got a bit fed up with all the kill towards the end of cycle 1, with Miria being everywhere.
Yeah,
Still got the half hand to come.
We're basically getting the same end of this cycle, aren't we? We've had some more interesting, different stuff for the last few packs, and then we've got an onslaught of kill effects again. We don't really need.
The one thing I do like about Reese, though, is for Stark, he is a lord with an intrigue icon, which is quite rare.
I like that he's an ally. Can dissent him.
Dissent's just kind of the best card in the game. Awesome.
Hey, it's going to get better.
It will get better, yeah.
Yeah, it will get much better. It's a marching action, though, Dissent, isn't it?
Dissension, yeah.
Yeah, okay, that makes it less good.
Is it? Oh, yeah, alright, that's not so good then.
Overall, good cards, but boring.
Yeah, you'll will see play. I mean, Harrenhal on setup will be like a really strong opening play if you get it.
That's when you need to see Nightmares and Nightmares play trading and just dump your hand and go sod it.
Yeah.
Tyrell? Anyone?
I like these cards. I don't know if Ryan, do you want to talk about them or?
Yeah, I like the Tyrell cards.
Yeah, go on, you take it then.
Tyrell is good.
Yeah, so we get two pretty solid cards. Get Brienne of Tarth and Offer of a Peach. So Brienne is another lady. I think we've got to the point now where we're actually got a decent amount of ladies. Where Lady in Waiting, the two Red Wine twins, Lady Sanders Rose, all this tech is viable just in a mono Tyrell. Whereas before you had to run generally Banner Wolf to get Sansa and Arya.
Yeah, or Stag.
Or Stag, yeah, for Mel and Felice. But you could really do it mono and have enough consistency. And yeah, Brienne's just solid. 5/5 renown. You could basically ignore the effect and should be worth playing anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just a nice like cherry on top. If you get Renly out, then great.
Let's not skip over the art because the art's really good as well. Love it.
Yeah, it's great art.
She's far too good looking in the TV show, isn't she? For what she
I don't watch the TV show, so I wouldn't know.
Oh, James.
I'm a book loyalist.
Well, for the first time in 6 years, we can give you spoilers now.
Yeah, oh man, all those. Yeah, it's all going to come back to haunt me.
Oh yeah. One of my best friends, or the whole. I've read the books. When it happens, shut up, Adam. Just shut up. Now it's Adam. Do you want to know what happens, bud? Do you want to know what happens?
Yeah, but anyway. I don't. Sorry, segue. I don't consider that to be the true timeline though, because apparently they wrecked up the Martell timeline, which is like my favourite bit of like the most recent. Anyway,
for what I've read.
Yeah, you don't want to know what happens to the Martells in TV show.
So yeah, screw that. It's not canon as far as I'm concerned. They can get lost.
I would say that Off with the Peach is a bloody good card.
Hell of a card.
Yeah.
High Garden in event form. I feel like the play only if you control Renly or a lady is a bit unnecessary. Like you just contrast it to other one-cost events like Treachery. Like, there was no need to have a play restriction on it.
Right, you can't contrast events to Treachery because that card is broken.
I know, but it just seems really unnecessary. Like,
yeah, it's a little bit unwieldy. I think
it's not going to be an issue now, especially with Brienne just been added to have the lady. But it's just there are going to be times when you draw it and you don't have a lady out and you can't play it, and that'd be a little bit annoying.
I mean, this is the kind of card that I look at, like going, when I get heavily outplayed by someone, like maybe like someone that's playing a lot of resets, someone that's like the UK national champion. This is the kind of card I'd like to be relying on to stop myself getting crushed with Military Claim. And that'll be the time where I won't be able to play it because he'll have reset the board and I won't have Renly or a lady character.
Yeah.
And that'll be the time where I really wish I had High Garden instead.
Oh yeah, you definitely run both.
Yeah.
I think it's nice because we can get the sort of jousting contest decks back because that plot saw a fair amount of play when Mare and Heat was out, but hasn't seen any play at all since.
No, Mare Heat's dropped off as well. I think that the 2 cost came a bit of a tempo hit, too much of a tempo hit.
Yeah, so those sort of more challenge control Tyrell decks hopefully will make a little bit of a resurgence because I think that's a really nice theme they've got. And it's nice seeing some more cards added to that.
It makes it really hard to play defensively, right? Like when these kind of cards exist.
Hang
on, it's an attacking. Yeah, no, it's an attacking character. Sure, sorry.
Attacking character, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
I was watching the they got to Beck D. I don't know. Anyway, Twitch channel, and he's doing weekly streams, and he was trying out a Tyrell Summer Knights deck using all the tech, and it was working pretty well. He needs to tweak it a lot. It was his first draft of the deck. And there's stuff he was saying that he wasn't quite happy with. But actually, yeah, they've got enough control now, and he was just doing the whole, here's a Merrin Heat going through on an Arbor Knight. I've got Highgarden now. I've got this out. What are you going to do?
I like it with Banner Dragon, Mirian Jackin.
Oh, yeah. Gross.
He's such a bad man, Ryan. Cool.
I was running those Miri jousting decks. I made David Roddick go home early from a kind of casual night because it was just horrible. I felt really bad.
But I would say just quickly, is Tyrell's done really well this cycle, but quietly done well.
Yeah, it's not been crazy stuff like Night's Watch. I think they've got good cards, but they've all been perfectly fine, balanced cards. Yeah. They've not been crazy over-the-top cards like Night's Watch have got with sort of Craven and Haunted Forest and stuff.
And that's the Shadow Tower Mason.
Oh, so I think Shadow Tower Mason, yeah. So FFG have done a good job with bringing Tyrell up to speed this cycle, and a bad job with bringing Night's Watch up to speed. They just put him miles ahead of everyone else.
Yeah.
I hate ranking factions in terms of strength, but if I had to, I'd probably say I think Tyrell are the strongest faction at the moment. Honestly,
that's a bold statement.
It's a bold statement.
They've got all the consistency cards in the world, which is kind of what I would love to be to have across all the different factions. And then on top of that, they've now got enough good cards to draw into.
There does seem to be a lot of talk with when the Alliance agenda comes out of Tyrell main house with two other houses. The other houses seem to jump around a lot, but Tyrell seems to be a very popular choice for the main house.
I'm really hoping that that's going to come out early because we've got this charity event going on in Brighton, and Brian has very magnanimously offered to be voted an agenda and a house and stuff and a plot that he has to play. And we were discussing in the kind of chat for the Southern Weekender what we could feed Ryan that would be absolutely horrible. And independently, Darren Hazelden and myself came up with the combination of Alliance as the banner, and the three factions I think were Wolf, Martell, and Targ.
Doesn't sound
so
awful.
Basically, we thought, we were trying to fight. I guess independently we decided we were going to take the factions which we thought had the worst draw and put them into the Alliance faction.
Yeah, there is that.
Great.
Actually, yeah. But overall, good pack for Tyrell. The next pack's good for Tyrell as well.
What's in the next pack? I don't think I've seen it.
You've got the Knight that's on the playmat for the Sword Champs.
Oh,
he's not great, but the other card I think is good.
I think he's a right one-of. If you're playing lots of summer plots, just every turn gain a power.
Yeah, I think in a specific deck he's fine in the summer decks, but in the general Tyrell decks, you probably won't play him. You're going to lose all that power.
That's fine though. I like that kind of card design where it goes in one particular deck rather than going, this card's so good it will go in every deck.
If you see a winter plot, he's pretty rubbish.
Yeah.
Okay, now on to the worst designed card in the world ever.
It's not that bad.
Says what the AGOT Facebook group.
No, my personal opinion is Craster.
So much hyperbole. Craster's not that bad.
Yeah, he's alright. Craster and Dragonglass Dagger with Night's Watch. It just seems the wrong time to play for him to come out, or this ability to come out anyway.
I mean, seems alright. It's
limiting it to Night's Watch. Again, this feels like treachery. This feels like it's a card that should be available to everyone.
If it existed at all.
Yeah, if it exists at all.
I agree with that, I guess.
It's questionable whether it should exist, and like Ben said, the timing is iffy. 1 month after Valor coming out to release the cards, but is a direct counter. It's a bizarre decision.
I'd rather they release the card and the counter at the same time, rather than the situation we get in Netrunner. Only time I'll speak about Netrunner today, where they release the card that's a problem, and then 6 months down the line, you might get the hate card for it.
We got Aaron now, though. It's fine, James. We've got Aaron. Aaron's here. I love Aaron.
Yeah, thank you, thank you, FFG. I was thinking of Salset Slums actually, but yeah, don't worry.
Sorry, what?
Yeah, don't worry, Ryan. It's not important.
But yeah, it's with Craster, that ability is just pretty. I mean, obviously you don't have to use it, so there's times you could just choose not to use it, especially on your own Valor, and he's immune to it, so that's another character that's going to survive your own Valor.
The only thing I'll say about this card is watch out for Whammer. That's a cryptic clue. That's all I'm going to say.
What's he doing? Oh, at least he's not loyal, I guess, so you can banner to watch, but I don't know, that's a really...
Yeah, you can. That deck's fun.
Yeah. Your idea of fun, Ryan, so I'm sure I'll hate it. The dagger, though, I'm not sure it's that great.
There's no slots for it. It's perfectly fine, but what do you take out to put this in?
Is this better than a practice blade? Yeah, like that's the real question.
Probably not.
I'd rather have the plastic blade. I mean, it's only +1 strength, but the other problem is...
Yeah, I'd rather have the icon spread off a practice blade.
Yeah.
And this doesn't stop stealth, does it?
Presumably not.
No. Only while they're in a challenge.
Yeah.
So,
because obviously stealth stops you from getting the challenge. So yeah, so that makes it seem a bit...
I mean, if these Miri decks come back, maybe it sees some play, that kind of stuff. But
yeah, but they just kill someone else. It just makes that character immune to the challenge. So.
And only while they're in the challenge.
Yeah, sorry. All right, yeah. Moving on, sorry.
So, the one thing this would be really good for is that Jon Snow crossing build. This would make him immune to Jakaris, wouldn't it? While he's attacking?
It's not character ability, is it?
That's a good point. So, no, yeah,
yep.
sucks.
Moving on. Moving swiftly on.
So Barra, Davos.
Can I take these? I quite like these.
Oh, yeah, sure, go. Yeah.
All right. Obviously, I have a problem with the amount of draw in Game of Thrones. I think the decks are too thick and the amount of draw is too low. Now, that being said, Barra has a lot of draw, but I think this card's really good. So, what does the reaction say? After Sir Davos Seaworth bypasses a non-loyal character using stealth.
Why does that have to be non-loyal?
Well, it doesn't really matter because a lot of really good characters are non-loyal, and if you want the card draw, you can always find one that's basically going to be an almost equivalent to bypass with stealth.
Yeah.
To get the draw. So I think that's really good. I mean, you could use it to gain the gold, which might be relevant. Like some of the Barra events are quite expensive to play, like even-handed justice, stuff like that. I think that the only issue with this card is the fact that the core Davos Seaworth is so good, especially with like the amount of valor that's going to be seen in the forever future.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the card design. If its name wasn't Davos Seaworth, I reckon it'd see a crap ton of play.
This does feel like an ability that Tyrion should have, rather than the
Absolutely. One. It's like a fair Tyrion. Thanks.
Yep.
Thanks, Ben.
Yeah, if only.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's good. I think it might see some play. Like, I think it's a kind of sleeper card. There's nothing wrong with it.
I think there will be a few decks later on that want this Davos over the over the current one, and I think possibly if they start looking at sort of the non-R'hllor themes for Barra, then this could be a cover card that goes. There could be some, because obviously there's going to be some synergy with Kraken after the next pack.
Right.
So
okay.
Maybe this is the type of thing that goes in there, and you get a high stealth deck. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just a really good card. I mean, people have argued that it's slightly overcosted or whatever, but is it? I mean, Tyrion's just undercosted savagely.
I think compared to Tyrion, he probably is slightly overcosted, but then I think most characters are.
Tyrion's a bad design, so you know.
It should have been 1 gold. Yeah.
Have you seen? I don't know if that's true or false, but there's that thing that's been going around the internet of a picture of one of the playtesters written on the effect saying "seems strong." But the effect is the previous one, which is like, I think it's gain 1 gold for an intrigue challenge.
It was 1 gold for an intrigue or power. 4 times, four times though, so you obviously could still get 4 gold from him.
Yeah.
But
I don't know.
Yeah. So
Ritual of the Law.
You like the first one? Do you like this one?
Absolutely. It's like a Baratheon Doran's game, and you know how much I like that card.
I would say it's slightly worse than Doran's game.
It's okay. Like it's not great, but it's it might go in a deck somewhere.
I've been thinking with that new Mel that's been spoilt for the next cycle, there probably could be like a Barra deck that doesn't really do any challenges. So everything's standing at the end of the phase, and then this card could be really good in that kind of deck.
Yeah, I mean, I think this feels like a potential one-off card that you can close the game out of occasionally. Probably sometimes you'll be upset at playing it. I mean, so I think this is also quite good if you think about it. So it's a R'hllor card. If you think about it with core Mel, you could use this to potentially stand a fiery followers, play this, put a power on Mel, and then use the new Stannis to keep that character null. Right.
Well, this actually even works quite well with old Stannis if you haven't played a R'hllor till that phase.
Yeah, that too.
So
I mean, it's not horrible.
I don't know. It's the fact that you got to pay gold for each of the power, so it means you got to sit on a lot of gold.
Oh, is it Event X?
Yeah,
I guess that's where you need Davos Seaworth to be doing a lot of rowing that you want to get this paid for. Yeah, all right. Maybe it's not so good.
The other thing as well is obviously you've got to win dominance, which you're going to tech for that. I know, but it's quite a few conditions for it to work.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot more hoops to jump through than a nice easy Doran's game.
Okay.
And I guess you're playing it at the same time of the game, right? You want to close out, so you have to potentially hold this in hand for quite a while.
Yeah. This is a card when I went, it's a R'hllor card, yeah. When I read it, I'm like, dominance phase.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it will see some play. I mean, you never like. I'm hesitant to throw away anything that says gain X power as being straight up bad.
I don't think it's a bad card. I just don't think it's a good card.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe in Ryan's deck.
Yeah.
Ryan, would you even play this?
Ryan would. This is the kind of card I don't see Ryan ever playing, though.
No, because he's probably give himself all that power and reset the board anyway.
Yeah, you don't want your characters to have power in my deck, really. Yeah. Unless they're closing out the game.
I've taken 4 power, yeah, going to trigger Varys.
Yeah. Bad idea.
Do you want to take Lanny, Ryan?
Yeah. What did Lenny get? Oh.
King Joffrey
with the really weird bad art. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not. What's going on? It's like a kind of perspective shot or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's an odd one. It looks like the Iron Throne is a forest around him. But
see that?
Well, he's a small child after all, Ryan.
Yeah, I think it was that small. Just gets lost in the chair, just sits down and slips between a crack in the chair and is never found again.
Obviously, Tom and One True King cat lover, so you know.
I'm sorry, Renly's the One True King. I won't have anything else ever said.
We're moving into, is it the War of the, or are we moving out of the War of the Five Kings cycle?
We are moving out. Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah, it's the Red Wedding scene.
Well, this is why we've had all the kings this cycle.
Yeah.
And yeah, we've got the Lanny King here, who is more target kill.
But it's really weird.
Pretty much all it needs to be said, right? It's just more target kill.
Yeah, but it's really weird target kill because it's loyal characters, which is. Oh, so go and explain the card. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead.
So it only works after you marshal a loyal character. You've got to nil that character and your faction card to choose and kill a non-king with lower cost. So it triggers off himself, so you can kill anyone at 6 cost or lower straight away off the bat for paying 7 gold. And
Which
then
is pretty good.
Which is alright, yeah. Look at it as a slightly more expensive Crown of Gold that hits anyone.
Or a slightly more expensive House Florent Knight.
Or slightly more expensive Harrenhal that then isn't discarded when you use it.
Exactly. And then he works off of Tywin, Cersei, and some of the smaller loyal chuds they got, but there's not that many loyal characters really.
That was the thing I was going to say. I mean, this seems like a card's going to be better much later on, but at the moment there's not that many good loyal cards, is there?
You pretty throw him as a one-off, right, in your deck. You don't build around him. So if you draw him, you play him, you kill someone big, probably already done his job. Doesn't matter if you trigger him a second time or not.
God, yeah, actually, I think about it, because you're killing like Fast Eddie.
Yeah.
But I mean, how would you have enough money to play this card, Ryan? I mean, how could you possibly afford it?
Yeah,
what faction are we playing in here?
Sorry, I can't resist. It's just, yeah.
I don't know. I don't like him at all. And then, talking of money, their second card is just...
This is awful, right?
This is a bad card. Yeah, Joffrey's a good card, but more target kill, so boring. The next card is just bad.
I don't know how you'd ever find a deck slot for this, even if the effect was good.
You need 0 cost intrigue icons.
Yeah. Yeah, just kneel a character of an intrigue icon and gain a gold. Yay!
Well, I think we finally found a use for core Tyrion.
Yeah.
Yeah, get that 1 gold for kneeling Tyrion.
Pro play.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So the economy on this is just so bad, right?
Yeah.
You pay 2 to... well, for a start, you have to put this in your deck. Then you pay 2 to marshal it. Then you have to kneel your own guys to get money back. And they have to have intrigue icons.
That's less of an issue for Annie. But still, even the cheapest intrigue icon they have is 2 gold. So you pay a 2 gold character to kneel him to gain a gold.
It's the optimal kneel here, like the one that you have to pay a gold to make challenges or military challenges or whatever it is. The brothel madam or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but she's free gold, isn't she?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it just seems really, really, really weak. Unless there's going to be something amazing that triggers off King's Landing locations.
Or something allows you to stand your characters somehow.
I mean, so does this interact with Shay? No, because that doesn't work at all, right? I mean, you could be a complete muppet and kneel Shay for a gold and then pay a gold to stand Shay. Is that,
you can indeed do that, yeah.
Really. So, this is interesting, right? So, I'm going to digress slightly here, and you'll probably never have me back on the podcast again.
Oh, James, we've really gone way past that.
Okay, fair. But these kind of cards were kind of interesting in Conquest, right? Because it was this kind of deploy stall thing, where messing about doing very little could be quite powerful because your opponent would have to then do something.
Yeah.
But in Thrones, it just seems heroically bad.
So, if Shay wasn't a challenger's action...
Oh, is she not?
so Shay is a challenger's action, right? And this is a marshalling action. If they were both in the same window, so if they both challengers both marshalling, then you could have some fun combos. Because you could just do an infinite stand loop with Shay.
Then you just what is it? Then you have to resolve it 1,000 times and then
that's the
FFG rule, right?
Because you put green dreams on her, all right, and then you can stack your deck any way you want it.
Okay, because that combo was a real thing with, what was it, Jane Westling at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah, but...
the exact same idea, but sadly they're marshalling and challengers. So.
Okay.
This does seem like one of those cards. I'm sure at some point before this card cycles out, there'll be some other cards that combo with it, and it'll be all right.
No.
But just not.
I guess if there's something that's
as bad as Greyjoy cards. Should we move on to Greyjoy?
Yeah, we've spent so long talking about a really bad card.
Yeah, exactly. Don't worry, I'll do Greyjoy because
more bad cards.
My love for Greyjoy has been disappearing as this cycle's gone on. So we've got Helia, who's another. You'll never get this right, guys. They've got another, because they haven't got any of these, power Monicon.
Who does nothing, basically. That's it, move on.
2 gold, 2 costs. And what annoys me is, so each attachment gains terminal. Greyjoy's one of the 2 factions that does not want this. They're one of the 2 factions that actually has attachments which come back to hand, and that's the idea of them. Why?
This annoys me because I don't know what character it is in the book. Like, I honestly can't remember. Most of them I can, but yeah, I just don't. I don't have a clue.
And then I can't even remember this card, but I can't remember it. So Blessing with Salt as a 1-cost event with the Blessing trait. Play during a power challenge. Choose a participating Drown God or Ironborn character, which is basically every Greyjoy character. Not quite, but almost. Until the end of the challenge, that character gets +3 strength. If you win the challenge, draw 1 card.
Sorry, I just googled Helia, and looking at her on the Wiki of Ice and Fire, she's got a 1-liner. Helia is the steward of Pike. She's a bent back old woman. That is it. That is literally all you get about this character.
Why has she got a named card so early?
I think this is
in chapter 11 of Clash of Kings. That is it. Just mentioned. Scraping
the barrel, I think.
Talk about scraping the barrel. This card is so bad, right? Blessing the Salt.
I don't think it's so bad. It's not great.
It's only during a power challenge.
Yeah, at least you can, like, Balon, you make him strength 8, and then you're going to win that power challenge and draw a card. So if you're trying to stop the Night's Watch nil crap, I don't know, he'll also defend the wall, which obviously is kind of a big chunk of the meta at the moment. But yeah, otherwise no, it's not great.
I mean, at least it replaces itself.
Yeah.
If you win.
But then so does the Ahead of the Tide, which is
oh god, that's a terrible card too.
Well, I think Ahead of the Tide's better than this.
Yeah, probably.
And I wouldn't play that either. So
yeah, they're all bad cards.
Moving on. Awesome. Someone gets hard because I can't pronounce this guy's name. This is good.
Zaro, Zoan, Daxos. And now I have to read what he does. This seems like a card that might be good later on when they get some good attachments.
He's not bad, actually.
Yeah, he's alright. I don't. Like, it feels like
no,
it's the unique bit that stops it seeing that at the moment.
Yeah, I better say, because he triggers off the other card in this pack, and he triggers off the sword that no one plays.
The Silver Steed.
There's no
Crown
one
of
that really
Gold.
plays. Oh, Crown of Gold, yep, so that's good. It means
Beggar King.
Beggar King, yeah.
Like, I honestly think that this card at some point will see play. It just needs a more fleshed out card pool.
One of the things Joe's been saying, and obviously playing a lot of Targ recently, they do lack intrigue icons, so he's probably not a bad one of on that front.
The cost is relatively efficient. I mean, it's a 5 cost for a strength 4 character with decent icon spread, so...
Yeah, but otherwise, yeah, not great. It's alright.
Call us back in a year, see how we feel.
Yeah, it does help though, because obviously most unique attachments are quite expensive. So you are basically getting for free.
What's the cost on Beggar King?
1. So you gain money off Beggar King.
You got to speculate to accumulate, I guess, as a bigger.
Seal of the Hand would cost you 1 effectively.
That's more interesting, because that is such a tempo hit to play.
Yeah. Especially
maybe this isn't that bad.
It's alright.
It's right, yeah.
It's alright. The problem is though, you can't build around relying on him, so you can't go and put all unique attachments in because I don't see him. And yeah,
you're definitely going to run this as a 3 of IE.
No, not unless that.
Just put all the attachments on him. Voltron, Zaro, Zone, Daxos.
Oh god! Oh no, they're not unique. I was about to say otherwise you could play the merchant from the first cycle that gets Merchant Prince. If it was any attachment, then this card would be a money. Just take 3 of them and tool them up and have these.
There's Noble Lineage, gain gold.
Yes.
0 for 2 gold.
I actually don't mind Noble Lineage. I think it's not a bad card as a setup card and stuff. It's alright.
Yeah.
I mean, it's never gonna. It's always gonna be like a 61st or probably like 65th card, isn't it? But it's not bad.
It's alright. It's alright with the Merchant Prince. The next one, the attachment.
Mother of Dragons. What the hell does this do? Stormborn character only, so that's pretty niche. Let's put it that way. Challenges action during a challenge in which you control a participating dragon character. Kneel Mother of Dragons to have attached character participate in the challenge on your side. So this is the dragon effect of Wardens of the North.
It's also the same as the dragon that actually allows her to stand after you win a challenge, isn't it?
This is like a Winterfell Cannon Master, isn't it?
Oh yes.
And she's still standing. So you basically get an extra challenge out of her.
I can never remember which dragon it is, but so you have the dragon which also allows her to stand after she wins a challenge.
That's the good one. It's Rhaegal.
Then she can effectively be on all 3 challenges.
Yeah. You can put her in a military with this. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean that's not bad, but the problem is again, you got to see Dany for this card to be useful because she is the only Stormborn character.
Yeah. Speaking of which, how many Dannys is Joe running in that deck?
3.
Yeah.
Okay, because I never saw her in either of the games. She never hit the board.
Yeah, it's 3 Dany, 3 Drogo, and 1 Miri at the top end, I think. Maybe not even any Miri.
Okay.
She's really dropped off.
Yeah.
For a card that was so dominant 5 months ago.
Well, it's a lot of money to put in someone you can't put a bodyguard on, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's a good card. But the problem is you've got to see a Stormborn character, you've got to have a dragon in play. You've got to be able to... And the dragon's got to be in the challenge.
Yep.
So that's quite a few requirements. And basically, unless it's a military challenge, she could probably be in the challenge anyway.
What's the icon spread on the standy dragon? Is it Intrigue and Power or is it Intrigue and Mill?
It's Intrigue
and Mill, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Because the other ones, there's one that's just military, that's...
Drogon.
That's Drogon. That's when it gives her renown?
Yeah, that's right. It's the bad one.
And then the power one gives her stealth.
Yeah, Viserion, mill power.
Yeah, so it's all right, I guess. Targ again seem to just get alright cards?
I feel like eventually there'll probably be some decks with this. It feels a bit wombo combo-y to me. But then who am I to talk? I was playing a Doran deck, so...
Doran's amazing now.
I know, that's why I was playing him.
He's good now. Taken a while.
He's only going to get better, that's the thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Speaking of which, Merciless Baratheon.
Go on, you can take... You take my turn.
Absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Right, so before we even talk about what the card does, okay, this is like a massive win from a theme perspective, okay? So I really like this card because it summarizes everything there is to know about kind of shifting allegiances in the Game of Thrones universe. So this is Merciless Baratheon, okay, so she's theoretically from House Baratheon, except for the fact that, spoilers listeners, she's actually the child of incest between Jaime and Cersei.
What?
Okay, so she's actually... Yeah, I know.
Spoilers?
So, sorry to ruin that for you, but she's actually a purebred Lannister, as you can tell by the colour of her golden locks. Okay? But she's actually, in the card game, a non-loyal character that spends time as part of House Martell. So she's a Martell character because of stuff that happens in the books where she gets sent off as a kind of peace offering to the Dornish.
And the TV show, James, the far superior product.
Yeah, sure. We'll agree to disagree there. Like, they mangled the best storyline, apparently, so whatever. But so from a thematic perspective, it's just a massive win. But from a kind of gameplay perspective, we'll go through what she is. So she's a lady, and she's from Martell, which means instantly she can be pumped by Doran and reduced by all the standard effects. She's a 4-coster, which means that she's not getting wrecked by first snow of winter. She's strength 3, which is fine. She's got an intrigue and a power icon, which is like a pretty standard Martell spread, actually.
Yeah.
Like I think out of the nobles, the only ones that don't have this icon spread are the Red Viper, who also has a mill, and the guy on the boat. That it gets
Quentin.
Quentin. I was going to say another spoiler that I don't feel comfortable saying because people may not have read that far or whatever. But yeah, and Quentin, who has mill power. But so this is a pretty standard spread. But I think the important part on this is while there are no king characters in play, Merciless Baratheon gains renown and does not kneel when declared as a defender in a power challenge. So although we're coming out of the kind of king-related cycle, there's not a huge number of kings seeing play.
No. Bob still is, but Bob always was.
Well, it depends. I mean, so he doesn't seem to be a 3-of in these kind of like dominance-based.
No, he's not a 3-of in my deck.
I guess so. There's the King Robb Stark isn't seeing any play.
You're more seeing the attachments that make you a king rather than the actual
like
kings.
Beggar King and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think this is an effect that I will probably be in play probably like 70% of the time plus, I would guess.
Also, Night's Watch being so popular, they don't have any kings.
Absolutely. Well, they've got the King Beyond the Wall if they want to run him.
They don't have any kings.
But yeah, so I think this is an effect that you can probably guarantee is going to be in play for a relevant amount of time.
Yeah.
And can I just clarify with you guys, you're better on the rules than I am. The way that this is written, it says, when there are no kings in play, Merciless Baratheon gains renown and does not kneel when declared as a defender in a power challenge. Now, there's no comma in this text. So, does she gain renown and does not kneel when declared as a defender in a power challenge? As in power challenge, she has renown and doesn't kneel?
She always has renown.
Always renowned.
Because that doesn't seem particularly clear from this.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying. I think the and makes it two separate statements.
If there was a comma after renown, that would make it utterly clear as far as I was concerned. But doesn't matter. You've just ruled it as the good version for me, so I'm not going to complain. Yeah, I think she's really good, and definitely in the crossing deck that I was playing. Like, one of the reasons I was playing it was to test whether it was good enough, and it was. And this character's only going to improve that, I think.
She's really good in a go second crossing deck as well.
Absolutely.
You can just at least chud block the power challenge back at you.
It's going to have to make me reassess my plot deck for initiative, but that's fine.
Yeah. Ryan,
anything to add about this top tier character?
No, actually, solid all round. Give me a one-off probably in every Martell deck until she
I
rotates.
think so.
The only thing that worries me is the one thing I love about Martell is all their forecasters have no attachments. She can be warded.
She can, that's true.
As it happened to me the other day. Yeah, she's great. She's going to be a one-off. I joke. I mean, I do love all the forecasters don't have no attachments because that's a really useful ability right now. Yeah, I think, and we're at that point, as we were saying earlier, that Martell are at the point where they've got enough lords and ladies now. It's taken 2 cycles.
You can drop this late game after they've played their resets and potentially crawl up at a 2 or 3 power, I think, which is really, really, really strong.
And Martell really need power gain. Quick
Absolutely.
power gain, because they're so slow otherwise.
It just it depends how you build the deck, right? The crossing deck I built was built to be fast, anything else that you can add is really strong, like you say.
I've been messing on with Reigns. I did win a game in 3 turns, which I was quite happy with. With all
the kind of tech stuff that they have, like there's a plethora of kind of surprise power bonus stuff in Martell, from my favourite card, Doran's Game, to like the Scorpion Sting and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like the more renown or pseudo renown they get, the more dangerous those cards kind of become.
Yeah. Prince's Parcel, I'm still trying to decide if this card is good or not.
I need to test with it for sure.
Because surely Gaston's just better.
I mean,
and
probably.
Deck slots are getting quite limited at this point.
Yeah, it's really hard. So, I mean, basically, the benefit of this over Gaston is if you can trigger the second part of the effect, which is where you can discard them, and that is obviously stronger than sending them back to hand. But at the same time, it obviously doesn't cut through dupes, which is one of the absolute main reasons why Gaston is such a powerhouse.
The other thing as well is a lot of the negative attachments are starting to disappear from decks. Because
I
of
wasn't
Night's Watch,
playing any.
Although obviously against Night's Watch, if they do attack you, they'd be silly with these out. Most of them are Monicons. Removing icon, so the icon removal isn't going to be quite as strong element to it, not until Night's Watch kind of step back and then those attachments can come back in again.
I mean, it all depends on how many icons someone's got, right? Because, obviously it's crap against Night's Watch because they don't make any challenges. But against someone like Gregor, this is quite scary.
Yeah.
I don't know, really. This could go either way. I don't know whether Ryan's got any more to say about it.
Yeah, I think it's definitely weaker overall than Gaston. But Gaston's probably the best card Martell have.
Yep.
So it's not really a fair comparison, but I think it's a decent enough card.
It's because of similar ability it's going to get compared.
Yeah. I don't know how often you're going to trigger the discard bit, but it's at least nice against non-kneeling to attack people, like Jamie.
The main one I've been thinking of it is, because I've been starting to find 3 Gastons is probably actually 1 too many.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe 2 Gastons and 1 of these.
I'd still rather go 3 Gaston.
Yeah, same as a heavy Martell player. Like it means that if you've got 2 in hand, you just fire a Gaston at like slightly what most people would describe as a suboptimal character, and then put the next one down the next turn.
But I used to find amount of times people aren't really doing challenges. Oh, it's just.
Well, that's worth talking about because these kind of clock decks, they aren't making a lot of challenges, which means a lot of your challenge kind of prevention tech, stuff that I was running, for example, the Viper Eyes, the Gastons, and the Burning on the Sands were kind of dead cards in those matchups.
It's one of the things I'm worried about at the moment is how the meta's probably going to change come regional season, because store champs people tend to be a little bit more relaxed with their choices, so like you're not seeing so much Night's Watch probably because people have a bit more fun at store champs. When it gets more regionals and nationals where it gets a bit more serious, some decks that will be doing well I think are probably going to fall back a bit again.
I think you just have to be able to go fast enough. That's the critical thing.
Okay. But overall, Martell, pretty good pack.
Yeah, I like these cards.
I think they got a fairly good pack next one, haven't they?
So it's Arasokar and the Green Blood. I'm sorry, it's terrible. Arasokar looks like a good one-off, maybe. But,
the Green Blood I think would be a really good Tyrell card.
Yeah.
Is it not loyal?
Well, yeah, but Ryan, you said yourself in the UK we don't like banning to other factions.
Monofaction only.
Yeah, I'm pure Tyrell.
Well, it's each Martell character you control with +1.
Oh yeah, it's terrible in a Tyrell deck for sure.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. So next one we've got the Silent Sisters, which is a neutral 3-cost 1 strength, intrigue and power, which get +1 strength for each character in your dead pile.
Yeah.
The problem is, even if you go, oh, sorry, I'm playing, a Wildfire and a Valor, so I'm going to have some dead characters. You still don't want to see this early?
This will be a problem card, like, I know, 4 cycles down the line, there'll be some deck that breaks this.
Probably. Some deck that kills all its own characters since coming to play.
Yeah, some poor shit like that.
And then you've got a 3-cost that's like 10 strength.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably, but at the moment, just leave it in your binder, I would say. It's also got the ally trait,
yeah,
so it's going to get ascension.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, I think this is a card to look out for in the future rather than now.
Now, here's another card I can't decide if it's really good or really bad. The Forest, was it the Frozen Fangs? Frozen Fangs, 2-cost location, reaction, after enter play, you give it to your opponent, and it gives them -1 reserve. So, is this basically a neutral card that only really works with the Kings of Winter agenda?
Yes.
It just seems a bit...
I think this card will go in like a Night's Watch choke deck and be really annoying. Yeah.
Can they afford it? It's 2 costs,
Yeah.
That's quite a bit of a temper hit for them.
Just get all the gold off your opponent with meager contribution and the white tree. That's fine.
That would be the best one. So I've got taken 2 gold off you, so I can play this and give it to you.
Playing a couple of these turn 1 in a winter deck running Wraiths would be disgusting. So they go down to 2 cards in hand, end of the round.
It doesn't work on setup though, does it?
No, I mean, you draw it in marshalling.
Oh, okay, sorry, say marshalling. Yeah, because that's the other problem, it doesn't work in setup, so...
You can set it up if you want, it just gives yourself -1 reserve.
Yeah, that seems like a really bad idea.
I mean, my only issue with this card is it's going to give people that play Treachery, like dirty Lannister players, the smuggest of kind of reactions when you play this. Right? It's like, as if that card wasn't good enough. Like, the idea of treacherying this and then, making your opponent's hand size smaller is just, yeah.
That is awesome. I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, you are completely right. Oh, okay, yeah, that's crap.
No, I mean, I think the card's really quite good, actually, in a certain deck. It's the kind of card design I quite like, because it supports one deck style, rather than going in every different deck under the sun.
And I'm sure at some point there'll be some more tech about reducing your opponent's hand size as well, so...
Yeah. I mean, I think it'll see play in those deck shapes and probably nowhere else, and that's fine.
Okay. Another, I'm going to say bad card. 0-cost event, Quiet as a Shadow. Action, choose a unique character with printer cost 3 or lower. Till the end of the phase, that character gains stealth.
Unless we get like a young Miri, I don't really see this being that good. Like mini Miri, I don't know.
works on the Hound, which is quite nice, but
oh god, I hadn't thought of that. Yeah, that's horrible.
Works on the dragons, which could be nice, I guess. The unique bit makes it a bit pants.
Is it? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, has to be unique. So, I just don't see you dropping deck slots for this unless the agenda comes back. Dark Wings, Dark Words.
Yeah. There's another one of these weird cards that seems to be like part of this Aya theme. That all these things should work with Aya, but Aya already does them. So Quiet as Shadow and Sirio both should work with Aya, but give her stuff she already has. So.
Yeah. Have a military and stealth. Oh, you've already got that. Okay. Fair enough then. Yeah. And the last one is Ghosts of Harrenhal, which is another anti-Valor card. 2 costs. Sorry, 2 costs.
It's just anti-all-kill, really. Not particularly Valor.
Okay, fine.
So, Ryan, you must love this card, right? If it's anti-kill.
It's a good card, especially in the Lannister Harrenhal decks. It can be pretty disgusting there, where you can just chuck in Tywin turn 1 with Harrenhal. Let him die, and then get him out for free next turn permanently.
Absolutely.
You've got to be. You've probably got to go second though to make sure nothing else dies.
Yeah, well, you choose when you jump him in, right?
Yeah, I'm just. I guess. Yeah, you could do it literally at the end of the turn, couldn't you?
Yeah.
After all challenges.
Yeah, I mean,
It's a way of gaining 7 gold, effectively.
Joffrey Baratheon as well. New Joffrey, you know, that one of Joffrey. Play him, kill him, bring him back and kill something else.
I think it's only when you marshal, though.
Is it?
Yeah,
Oh, right.
he's Marshal.
Yeah, you're right.
That ability be amazing with Harrenhal.
Yeah.
My timing comes in, kills your 6-coster, and then with the Out the Hand, about another 6-coster.
Guys, you know, it's not fair that you're mocking me for expecting Lannister cards to be better than they actually are. Right.
Lannisters had a really bad cycle, thank you.
Did they? And look how nobody's crying about it.
Yeah, oh god, well, because the box made up for it a little bit. They've had a really bad cycle.
What else have they had this cycle? I can't even remember.
They've had nothing.
Without his beard.
Such a good card.
Ripped Maester Pycelle. What the hell is going on with that card? I looked, so you know, like they've been talking, you know, on the media. I don't know if you read a lot of the news and stuff about, you know, body shaming and stuff. FFG. I looked at that card and I looked down at myself and I almost wept. It was embarrassing. Like a man of, what is he, 80, 90? To have pecs that large. It's just,
Body shaming. Look at the lawsuit against FFG for body shaming.
Yeah. Personal trauma.
But overall, yeah, it's a fairly good card. It's it'll be on the right deck. I'm not seeing everyone take it trying to predict Valor. Because if you get it wrong, it's a bit pants.
Or close call. I think that's the real question, right?
I'd rather have close call, I think.
It's better money, right?
In a generic, I could take one to put in any deck. I think I'd rather have close call.
Yeah, you got to build more around this plot.
Yeah, whereas
You
close
get the
call
draw
just
too, right, from close call often. So.
yeah. So close call is just a fairly good all round card, but this is a really good card in some decks and not amazing in others. Because, you know, it's going to be that game when you use it and you're going to bring, you know, it's going to be your 7th plot and you're going to bring back that, like, Lannisport Merchant or something.
And your opponent gets back their Robert Baratheon.
Yeah. Yeah.
That makes you so sad, right? Yeah.
So that's Ghosts of Harrenhal. It's, not the, I could say, it feels like a bit of a meh pack. The last 2 packs have been really good.
Yeah, Ben, what's your pick of this pack then?
Oh god.
Bless him of salt.
Brienne of
Brienne.
Brienne, yeah. I think because I've been playing lots of Tyrell and I've been enjoying it, and she's just a good card. Not amazingly exciting, but she's a really good card.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, it's making me want to do Tyrell Watch, which makes me also feel like I should be a bad and, you know.
True story. That's got one of the highest win rates on either Jousting Pavilion or whatever, Aegor Annals or whatever it is.
Doesn't surprise me, actually.
It's because Whammer took it to like 3 tournaments and went like massively undefeated, and then no one ever played the combo again. So it's got like a really high win percentage. And if this was all prior to the Arbor, so I think it was like those kind of left and right wall defense decks.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I think left, right, and her not kneeling, and she's getting renowned off it. If you got the wall out, that's pretty brutal.
Yeah, it's pretty savage, isn't it?
You got to get to 8 strength just to guarantee winning. No, 9 strength to guarantee winning the challenge.
Ryan, what about you? Picks from the pack?
I like Offer a Peach if we're going to stick with Tyrell cards. I do think Ghosts of Harrenhal is a really strong plot, and there's going to be some crazy plays of it, especially out of Lanny. And it also makes you think about making sure you put your characters in the right order in the dead pile. No one's really doing that at the moment. So
no, I am looking forward to that game where someone ends up doing that Tywin play and using Tears of Least to kill a reducer. The really confused look on the opponent's face, and then you play that next.
Oh no! Oh, I've made a terrible mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess my pick's Merciless.
No, really? You hardly ever hardly described it in the review.
Yeah, sorry. But yeah, I think Frostfangs will see play.
Yeah, I just think this cycle, it started off a bit slow. Then the last 2 packs have been really good, and this pack's just been a bit meh again. We know the next pack's going to be good, though, because obviously everything's been spoiled already.
When's the Night's Watch box out?
Probably 4 or 5 months.
You reckon that long?
Yeah. It would be in between like pack 2 and 4, roughly, somewhere around that time, the next cycle.
I can't remember what cards have been spoiled from that. I remember there was a plot that just made me want to kind of bash the screen in on my. Yeah.
Was it Night's Watch characters don't kneel to defend?
Was it the fire? Yeah, the fire that burns or something like that.
That's pretty good. It's not shit.
Because you can put that in the Night's Watch deck with, what is it, like fortified position and for the watch, and then you can just keep stalling.
Yeah. It's it's just good. It really is.
Is it 6 gold? Yeah, I think it was 6 gold. I can't remember if that's true or not.
Yeah.
No, I thought it was 460.
460, no claim, yeah.
Yeah, no claim doesn't matter, does it? I mean, it's Night's Watch, boys.
Exactly.
Yeah, it does. I always attack Mastery of my no. It's a bit brutal. It really. I mean, the only downside would be if you end up playing it like on a Valor turn, getting caught up by that. But even then, even then, they've got no claim, so that's not a massive issue either.
So what are people looking for? What do you hope is going to happen in the next cycle then, guys? Like, what's your kind of hopes and dreams for the game?
That Greyjoy gets some characters that have more than just a power icon.
Might be dreaming a long time.
Well, no, they get a Tricon in the next pack.
Who is it? Is it like some other stewardess that no one's heard of?
No, it's Asha when she's pretending to
be...
yeah,
it's Esgred, isn't it? That card's a powerhouse, I reckon.
Yeah, it's a really good card. Really good. I think it's really good. And you get Sea Bitch, which is also a really good card.
Isn't it like super stealth? It's stealth 2 characters on Esgrid.
Yeah.
What? Like, I don't like, and it's got the terrible downside of not being able to play core Asha.
Oh no, you can, and then core Asha gains a power.
Right. Okay.
So it's actually got a really good. So if you at the end of towards the end of the game, it's one of the few ones you can actually run both of the characters and not be not feel bad about it.
Card seems really good.
Yeah, no, it seems really good. And Tricon is kind of what Greyjoy need.
Well, it's a stealth icon on an entry character for a start. Now let's talk about Greyjoy reigns, guys. That's
But the next cycle, I just kind of hope there's a little less kill, and there's just more interesting effects rather than just kill. I know that the all men must die is kind of the theme of Game of Thrones, but there's just been a lot of kill the last 2 cycles, so having a cycle off would be nice.
I guess from my perspective, there's a couple of things I'm really hoping. One will be there'll be kind of a few more themes for the different factions that we kind of don't have at the moment. Because obviously most factions have 1, maybe two kind of viable playable themes. I'd like to see that get fleshed out a bit. So as you say, you were saying earlier, Ben, how it's becoming quite nice that most of the time now, when you sit down to play someone, you don't know like 90% of the cards in their deck.
Yeah.
Just instantly. So I think that'll be really good, hopefully. The other thing I'm really hoping is that like FFG go back to kind of slightly better OP support, really. But we'll see.
Yeah, I'll go something for that in a second to round it off. Ryan, anything you're looking forward to?
Hopefully some more interesting agendas. Like, I hope Alliance isn't the only one we get, because, on a card-per-card basis, like, the agendas are the single cards that, shake up the meta the most. So, I'd like to see a few more introduced each cycle.
Yeah, as I said a few times, I'd be quite happy to see 2 or 3 every cycle.
Yeah, so, having played a lot of Martell Lion, it was really interesting to now go and play this kind of very different game with Martell Lord of the Crossing. And I think that's just like exactly illustrating what you just said, Ryan, where the agendas are the thing kind of driving the deck building forwards.
Yeah.
So yeah, I completely concur. I think
It's agendas and then plots, I think, in terms of what affects the playstyles the most. So more genders, more plots, please.
The other one I have with James, and you probably from Netrun agree with this, is I find like in Netrun you get the IDs which affects the agenda.
Yeah.
And just coming from a game where I have so many IDs to mess around with, it'd be quite nice if we could do the same with Thrones.
Yeah. Obviously.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, what's just quickly with the thoughts on the OP kit, because I actually like where they're going with the OP kits. I just think they've picked bad cards for this one.
I haven't met a single person that wouldn't prefer a return to the playmats in the kit. I mean, maybe one of you guys will pipe up, but
well, I do have a lot of playmats now, and it does annoy the hell out of my wife.
I put a load of mine on the wall. I'm really liking them actually, but I got them framed.
Yeah, I have actually been thinking about doing that.
Yeah, it's cool. I'll send you some pictures later. You can have a look. But one of the things that's really annoyed me from I don't know if you've seen the latest kits, but they come in like a blister pack, basically the size of one of the kind of FFG print on demand packs, like Curse of the Rougarou or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm all for reducing the size of the packaging if it's good for the environment or whatever. But first of all, it's made out of plastic, so that's not great for the environment. But the most annoying thing from my perspective is they've removed all promotional
that's true.
stuff from the packs.
Yeah, you don't have the poster anymore to do.
No posters, nothing like that. And I hate Magic the Gathering with a passion. I think it's an archaic, boring game. But if there's one thing that Wizards do really, really well, it's promote their game with kind of stuff. I don't know if you've been into any of the stores where they've had all the kind of stuff for the latest couple of Magic sets.
Oh no, you see like the flying blimp on the ceiling. A lot of them you have the crowns everywhere. We've got the crowns because they gave them to my daughter.
Yeah,
they're really good quality as well.
All this stuff kind of builds buzz, and it's like when you see people come into the shop and say, "Ooh, what's that?" Things like that. You can kind of point them towards what it is and kind of draw people in a little bit. And removing all this from the OP scene, I think is kind of a bit of a negative move, because you want to be kind of promoting the scene and helping it to expand. And it's really difficult, or it's a lot more difficult to promote other than by word of mouth when there's kind of no official promotional material.
Yeah.
So that's kind of annoying for me, this last kind of switch up.
I agree with that. I like the fact where they're going. Like the Netrunner pack, I thought for this one was really good, with the characters, the card art, and the click trackers. I thought it was quite a nice little touch.
I think the click trackers are better than a lot of the tokens they've produced for sure.
But the Barra one to this one, it's like, what do you need Barra tokens for, which aren't power tokens?
Yeah, Y5, right?
Yeah, that seems really weird. So now I've got to try and win 3 of those kits, or come top 2 in 3 of those kits, so I can use them as power tokens, which just seems a bit weird. I like those trying things. I think they're going the right way with it, but I'm not 100%.
The cardboard, we can't even give the cardboard deck boxes away at events at the moment.
No, I've tried. My friend Dave will always take anything off me, which is about the only way mine have gone. But yeah, I think they can stop those now.
Yeah, it's not such an issue yet with the Game of Thrones, but I'm hoping in the future it will become not because I want it to be a problem, but I hope it'll become an issue because of what it says about the growth of the game. But with Netrunner, for example, we've been having some very large events and we haven't had enough of the kind of participation promo prizes to give away. And I'm hoping that and I think based on the regionals application that I did this year for Netrunner and Thrones, I think they're getting their act together towards potentially providing more like a kind of upgrade or booster kit if you're going to run an exceptionally large event, which I think the UK really needs because the scenes are very, very strong here.
Right. But anyway, I think we probably better bring it to an end there because we've run long. But as always, we do. Tangents. That's what we should rename the podcast to, the Southron Tangent Men.
Terrible.
All right, well, thanks for having me on, guys. I suspect I've overstayed my welcome.
Not at all. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for coming on, James.
Cheers, James.
Thanks, everyone, for listening. Thank you, Ryan, for coming on.
That's all right.
That's all right. I don't thank you guys enough. So thank you, Jay, for the other 11 podcasts you've done as well, Jay. Thank you. Just let's thank everyone.
And thanks for never finding a Dracarys in either of the 2 games I played in with him on Saturday.
And on that cheery note, guys, thanks very much for listening. Please come back next time. You can track us down on Facebook at Southron Bannermen. You can find us on YouTube, and please subscribe, it really helps. Or you can follow the Knight of the Blackwater. No, that is YouTube. We're on iTunes, Southron Bannermen. Knight of the Blackwater is the YouTube page. Awesome, I'm doing a good job of this. And as always, it's been emotional.